Not the worst division in baseball, Coffin Baugh. I think it's better than the other Central. Close. But I think Kansas City plus the Twins are below 500 and in first. Ambient, Baby Jules. Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, it's clearly the AL Central. No one above 500 in the AL Central.
Right.
I mean, it can change in a week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Pirates have figured out they're the Pirates, but morning, Rick. Coffin Baugh, I actually think you guys keep playing well. You're going to put a lot of pressure on that owner and GM to actually have to go get a player. I mean, if the division's winnable, man. Those big crowd last night in Cincinnati. Sixth largest of the night out of 10. There were two others that were within like a few hundred of them, though. Yeah, Votto was back. Good thing is the season's been reduced to 90 games for him, which is about all he can play anyway.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Oh, the magic numbers. They're not bad. They're not bad. It's getting doable. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. 67, 72, and 79, Mark. 67, 72, and 79, 67 to week 0. Most of us don't count that. 72 until the Gators are in Utah and UCF plays their first game as a member of the Big 12. And 11 weeks from Thursday, 79 days away, the Lions and the Chiefs, baby. We are doing this.
Does it sound weird to you when you say Lions and Chiefs for the opening NFL game? Does it come off the tongue and you go, oh yeah, Lions and Chiefs? Or do you go Lions and Chiefs and start giggling?
This is how messed up that whole thing is. Every time I say it, I think I'm getting it wrong. But also, Mark, no one wants to do Hard Knocks. And they've asked the Lions if they would do it again. Yes, that's right. The National Football League has A, turned to the Lions for their season opening game, and B, turned to the Lions and said, can you bail us out? You did Hard Knocks last year. and had a winning season. So obviously, it wasn't the worst experience in the world, although you did get off to a 1-6 start. But anyway, and could you do it again? Because all the teams that are eligible, they've told us no. And we don't want to have to make somebody do it if they don't want to. So what do you say, Detroit? Huh? That's how messed up it is. The NFL is turning to Detroit for two of their bigger things. So strange times we live in, Mr. Miller.
Very remarkable, to say the least. They've stuck it to so many NFL teams in the past when no one wanted to do this. I'm surprised that they're not sticking it to someone who is eligible.
Well, apparently the list is smaller than it's ever been before. Here's the criteria, Mark. You have to have not made the playoffs for the last 2 years. You have to have not been the featured team on the show within the last 10 years. And you can't have a first-year head coach because they don't want to burden rookie head coaches with hard knocks. Those are the 3 criteria. Believe it or not, Mark, there's only 4 teams that therefore are eligible. The Jets, the Bears, the Commanders, and the Saints.
What was that first team you said?
Jets.
Who's their quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers.
And we're not doing the Jets. Why?
Well, the NFL hasn't decided yet. The NFL can play judge and jury. They don't want to. The Jets, Bears, and Saints have all publicly, never mind loudly, privately, said to the NFL, absolutely not. We are not interested. We are not going to be cooperative. There were 2 Jets players who were asked about it yesterday who both said, no, man, we have to worry about winning.
I don't know what to tell you.
Which leaves Washington as, well, we'd prefer not, but. So the league apparently looked at Ron Rivera and looked at that North Carolina quarterback, Sam Howell, the 5th rounder, who they've handed the job to. And they said, yeah, call Detroit back. Call the Lions. See if Knee Biter over there would be willing to do it again. So the NFL doesn't want to play the heavy yet. But there's only 4 teams they can play the heavy with. Jets, Bears, Commanders, Saints. Exactly. We all want to see the Jets. Yep. Hell, I think they should just reinstate Rex Ryan and Mike Westhoff and make them coaches for training camp.
Right. That's the only bad part is the Broncos can't be eligible because it's a first-year coach. And I'd love to see the Broncos just so Westhoff could get some time on Hard Knocks yelling at people again. Cursing like a sailor.
In fact, if you're the NFL, don't you call Sean Payton up and go, listen, we won't even put you on. We just want Westhoff. So that's the situation of Hard Knocks anyway. 79 days till the Lions and Chiefs. Only a few weeks. Apparently, they're already in camp most years. Like they decide in March most years who they're doing. Here we are, 3rd week of June. And the whole league's like, stay the away. Obviously, they got to send a crew to somebody's training camp here in the next month.
Right. And by the way, Detroit said no when they asked if they'd come back. I mean, Detroit has said, no, we're not interested.
Right.
So it's another team that's told them no.
And since they don't fit the criteria, their no's actually a no. Okay. The other 4 teams, their no is a no for now. We'll get back to you. We're going to get stuck with Washington. new ownership on the way. They're going to call up the new owner, okay, who hasn't been approved yet. They're going to call them up and go, hey, you want to get in our good graces? You want to do us a solid? Okay. Tell Ron Rivera, you're getting rid of him in a year anyway. Tell Ron Rivera that, we're doing Hard Knocks. We'll make sure we get nice shots of you on the sidelines during training camp. Make sure we get your good side. Okay. You want some airtime? We'll even, you can talk about it's a new day with the Commanders. Sure, whatever you want. We're getting the Commanders.
I know. And we should be getting the Jets. I mean,
Yes,
this is so easy.
The whole league's a television show. And now, when they have a television show, they're not going to give us the television show?
Yeah, if I were HBO, I'd be digging my heels in pretty deep here. I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time to develop this show, and now you can give me the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, and they're saying no? I'm sorry. They fit the criteria. They're going to say yes.
I was HBO. I'd already have my equipment in Florham Park, New Jersey. The NFL's on the line. I don't know what to tell you. We're at the Jets. We booked hotels through August and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. We were told the Jets. I got to go. It's lunch. So anyway. So not made the playoffs in the last 2 years because the Giants have been on the list. And Mara has called in his chips to be like, no, keep passing us over. Keep passing us over. Not been on the show in the last 10 years. Giants have never been on it. Okay. No first-year head coach. Well, see, they couldn't have last year. They had Dable, so they couldn't be on it. But the thought was Giants were going to make the playoffs. Giants were going to get Hard Knocks this year. I mean, it was circled. It's we'll stick it to them next year. You've put this off as long as you can. Now you know who
in the playoffs, and all of a sudden that ends the Giants' possibility.
Right. Now you know who's going to be circled, don't you? Green Bay's circled right now. Green Bay's in the on-deck circle for next year. Not made the playoffs the last 2 years. Well, they didn't make it last year. How many of you, raise your hand, think they're going to make it this year? No first-year head coach. I guess it's possible they get rid of him, but that's not Green Bay doesn't act like that very often. Not been on the show in the last 10. Packers haven't been on it, have they? No. So, who's in the on-deck circle for next year. I mean, the NFL's going, well, we're going to do the Packers next year. Tough. So
dark horse would be Vegas if they missed the playoffs. They'd want to do it in Vegas too.
Could have a new coach, though.
Yeah, I know. That's get that hot seat list up and ready.
Yep. Miller and Moulton. Listen, the Marlins are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they got a guy hitting 400 again. He has gone 5 for 5 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Are you serious? Are there going to be 3 other players this year in the majors go 5 for 5 in a game? Luis Ariz, batting champion last year in the American League with the Twins. How many of you are aware of that? But he hit a robust 318 in winning the batting title last year. June 20th, he's hitting 4 bills. There are 11 games above 500.
Yeah, this is no longer a fluke, if you know what I mean.
Oh, no, it's almost becoming a trend.
South Florida trend.
Yeah, well, that's why we've got money on them. We've got money on them to make the playoffs. We placed that bet at the beginning of the month. When the Panthers and the Heat went to the finals, we said this epidemic is running rampant. We are jumping on it.
We've taken the over on the Dolphins.
Yep. We bet them winning a playoff game. And we got money on the Marlins to make the playoffs. Hell, we're betting the Canes over 7.5 in the ACC. Nuts. And Miller and Moulton have a bet as to how high FAU is going to be ranked in the preseason polls. I say top 10.
Not a chance.
Okay.
But the Marlins, on the other hand, well, they have taken their chance and made the most of it. Remarkable.
By the way, their GM's contract's up at the end of the year. What does she have to do to get an extension?
I think that's in the works as we speak.
Hope so. Goodness.
That should be taken care of by the All-Star break if they're doing what they're supposed to do.
So we're fired up, folks. Fired up.
David Samson will join us on the show today for his usual spot, and Kevin Brockway to talk Gators, both football and baseball. The starting 25 minutes ahead on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There's no doubt, McClellan. I mean, they're not as good as their record. Their record in one-run games is amazing. But just keep banking those wins. See what happens. But after 2 more with Toronto, they got a 4-gamer at home with Pittsburgh. I mean, this could, Then they go to Boston, and then I think Atlanta last week of the month.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 67 days to week 0. 72 days to the Gators and UCF play on that Thursday, August 31st, to kick off the college football season in most of our eyes. 79 days away, 11 weeks Thursday, Lions, Chiefs, and the NFL season. Really 5 weeks away from training camps for those of you to get into that sort of thing. Miller and Moulton have shied away from spring training and training camps in the last 10 years. We were geeked up about it when we first started 15 plus years ago doing this, but there's just so few jobs, Mark, right, that are really up for grabs.
Well, baseball especially, there's maybe a job per team that's available, maybe 2 in a team that's not very good. But for the good teams, the rosters are set. And for the football teams, the rosters are really set. There aren't starting jobs available like there once were. There are bottom end of the roster spots available, but not really your top 22.
I mean, is Tampa Bay's training camp one of the more interesting because there's technically a quarterback competition? I mean, I guess Kyle Trask can unseat Baker Mayfield for the job. I guess it's possible, right?
It's possible. I don't think it is. I mean, if you were to ask me, I would tell you it's not possible.
You say it's not possible or not
No.
likely?
Baker Mayfield's the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay. All right. So, and I guess we don't know who's healthy in San Francisco. That wouldn't be a bad place for Hard Knocks, by the way, just for the whole quarterback just to torture Trey Lance a little more and to hype up Sam Darnold. Man, has there been a quarterback who's been more erratic, who's gotten more good things said about him so far in the first 5 years of his career than Sam Darnold? Everybody loves the guy. Good looking, be a great poster child for your bad team. Problem is, apparently, he can't play all that much.
That seemingly
right
is a bit of a problem.
Looks great, though. Good looking, looks great in shorts and t-shirt. Put the shoulder pads on. Wow, look at that big, strong arm guy.
Right. Once the bullets start flying, he's not the same guy.
Just don't call any plays. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Did you catch Chris Paul yesterday? He was on Good Morning America. Apparently he's written a book or something. I don't know. He was pumping something. Two interesting things. First off, he found out about the trade while on the flight from LA to New York.
Right. Didn't his son tell him?
Son texted him, Dad, you've been traded. Where?
That's always good.
Washington. What? But he just made an innocuous comment. It did not sound mean-spirited or biting in any way. All right? He was just talking about, it caught me by surprise, but, And then he goes, Matt, which is Ishbia, the new owner, $4 billion. Matt and Isaiah, I guess, just wanted to go in a different direction. Wait, I'm sorry. Who?
That would be Isaiah Thomas, David.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is he the general manager of the Suns?
He is the owner's confidant these days with the Phoenix Suns.
So I guess he's the general manager of the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I mean, does the general manager really have the ability to make? He's a little higher up than, wouldn't you want to call him team president?
Yeah, okay.
Is the GM now answering to Isaiah is what I'm asking you, David.
Well, I don't think he's answering directly to him. I just think that Isaiah can sit in the room, wait till the GM's done, look at Matt and go, no. And Matt look at the GM like, yeah, I'm going with him. Which is funny because it's as if Matt Ishbia wasn't alive for Isaiah Thomas's tenure running the Knicks. Because he was. It was just 15 plus years ago. It was 15, 20 years ago. This just in, it was really bad. Like,
in fact, Isaiah was on such a run that everything he touched turned to dog do.
And he was actually found guilty of sexual harassment of an executive vice president in the Knicks organization. So not only did he run the franchise right into the ditch and keep it there, and it's tough to convict somebody of sexual harassment in a court. It really is. Not court of public opinion, but it's actually difficult to do in court. And Isaiah was found guilty. They had to pay millions. So back to Isaiah. We should have known this. Why didn't we all think of this yesterday? Because what was Isaiah known for when he was GM of the Knicks? He liked toys. Isaiah liked name guys. He would sell the farm and then some to get a name player. Stephon Marbury, what does it take? Eddie Curry. Oh, my goodness. What the Knicks gave up for Eddie. Had to have him. Had to have him. Okay.
And now they've got 4 shiny toys, and they basically have to have minimum salaries for everyone else on the team.
We should have known. We really should have. How did we not come to this conclusion? I don't just mean Miller and Moulton. I mean all of us. On Sunday heading into Monday, how did we not look at one another and go, this has got Isaiah's fingerprints on it. This is something Isaiah Thomas would do.
And David, I watched and listened, and I didn't try to come on and make some grandiose statement on what Beal does and where that puts the Phoenix Suns in the West, because it's not who I am. I'm not going to break down the NBA for you on this show. It's not why I think people are listening. But I listened and I read a lot yesterday. Kendrick Perkins is the only person that I could find that has the Suns as now the best team in the West. Nobody thought that this was a smart move.
Well, again, because they're going to lose to the Nuggets once again.
Well, they could lose to others as well. I mean, now, they could trade one of their other max players. It would likely be the big fella, DeAndre Ayton, which would leave them with 2 guards and a wing. I don't know. That seems like a small team. That's just me. Although they might as well trade Ayton, because let me tell you, Mark, Miller and Moulton were about as effective defending Jokic as Ayton was in that series. Holy mackerel. But we digress.
7'1" of him.
Yes. So anyway, I'm surprised. You and I, listen, we got a lot of faults. I mean, we're just somewhat successful. But we're actually pretty good with math. We're really good at taking a look at the board and being able to. What was that game in which you had to, everything's out there and you had to grab like the 2 things and you match them up? Okay. We're good at that. We're good at finding like the blue piece over here and the blue piece all the way over there. And people are like, I didn't see that. Yeah, I don't know. We're actually good at that. How did we not see this? And this has Isaiah Thomas written all over it.
Yeah, you almost wanted Isaiah to take an ad out in the Phoenix paper saying, "I'm back, baby."
Exactly. I'm acquiring players for Phoenix, and me and Scottie Pippen are telling you all how bad Michael Jordan really was.
Not believing that either? Well, I can turn this team into a championship team. Just look at what I did with the Knicks. Oof. Miller and Moulton. David Samson in 30 minutes. The starting 5 coming up on the other side on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What perplexes me about the whole Isaiah thing is it seemed like weeks before he was sitting courtside at playoff games with Matt Ishbia, he was on NBA TV, was he not?
Well, he is Isaiah Thomas. I mean, if he makes himself available, if you're the NBA or ESPN, I mean, you are going to put him on TV. He's well-spoken. Okay, he doesn't duck questions. And he is one of the 50 greatest players of all time.
That is true.
I mean, I would argue that he was as great as Isaiah was. I actually think he's underrated. He was flipping amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Because his career was kind of cut short.
Yeah, it was near the end when he blew out his Achilles, but
but
he could have done what Chris Paul's doing now, Mark. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean,
12 seasons.
I mean, you know, Isaiah, he could have adjusted and played at basically half speed if he didn't blow out his Achilles.
He wouldn't have been able to score as much, and he didn't like it if he could score as much.
Well, exactly, and he would have had to get out of Detroit because Detroit's run was done.
I don't know. I watched his whole career. I thought his career was rated about right. I'm not an Isaiah guy, though. Wasn't when he was there. Whenever he decided he'd lead them in scoring, they wouldn't win. He was a better distributor than he was scorer, and he wanted to be a scorer.
He played 12 years. Yeah.
Maybe it was just every time I played against my team, he looked like the best player of all time. Golly.
He was 32 in his last season. He averaged 15 and 7.
Knicks had a really good defensive guard named Darrell Walker. Darrell Walker wanted to see anybody except Isaiah Thomas. God almighty.
So, DC, that list isn't in order. Like, it's just an alphabetically ordered list. But he's there.
Ambient, we have 2 more days, you know.
Who's this year's pick 41?
Isaiah Wong from the University of Miami.
Hey, might as well.
Or Jordan Miller.
Mark and I would be in the front offices going, who do you think could be a decent backup big one day? Who out there do you think's a backup 4? That's who we're taking. Why is that? Well, that's what they thought Jokic was when they drafted him.
Jokic in the Fat Kid Community Hall of Fame. Drew Timmy, stop. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till the top of the hour, till David Samson will join us for his weekly appearance on Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. We got a lot to get excited about, so let's get to it.
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Number 1's the Marlins, baby. 11 games over 500, and they celebrate it with an 11-0 win over Toronto. First time Blue Jays shut out all year. Marlins have won 4 in a row. They're 4.5 back of the Braves. Jorge Soler with a homer and 3 RBIs. But the star of the show, Luis Arraez. 5 for 5 for the 3rd time this month. He's hitting exactly 400.
On June 20th.
Yeah. 102 hits. Second fastest to get to 100 hits in a season in Marlins history. D. Gordon was the fastest back in the day. And by back in the day, I think I mean like 8 years ago. But anyway. Mark, he is the 4th player to get 5 hits in a game 3 times in a month. Ever. History of the sport, which has been around for a while. This ain't pickleball. Tris Speaker, Ty Cobb were the first 2 to do it. This just in, they both did it over 100 years ago. So in the last 100 years, there's been one other player to get 5 hits in a game 3 times in a month. Dave Winfield as a Yankee in 84. That's it.
It's decent company, I'd say.
Yeah, it's 3 Hall of Famers. Right. Marlins 11-0. All right, here we go. Guess the attendance. They came in after a 6-3 road trip. They're the 4 seed. If the playoffs started today, it's a Monday night. It's against Toronto. The kids are done. Over under 12,000.
Ooh.
Yeah, I went high. I'm counting on, hey, there's actually some people paying attention. The Heat are done.
I watched the game last night. It felt like there were more than 12,000 there. I'm going to go over.
12-26.
Oh. Playing dirty there, Moulton.
Just over under, though. You called it right. You always were good at Card Sharks. Speaking of 11, the Mets scored 11 to beat the Astros 11-1. Scherzer with 8 impressive innings. Lindor with a homer and 5 RBIs.
The Mets win in and of itself should be something to celebrate.
It's just, it won't happen again for a while. But listen, for as good a story as the Marlins are right now, the best story of baseball could very well be the Cincinnati Reds.
Where are you going to go?
First place is where you're going to go.
That's where you're going to go.
They've won 9 in a row. Thank you very much. They're in first thanks to their 5-4 win over Colorado, while Milwaukee lost to Arizona 9-1. The Reds in first. Joey Votto, first game back this year, recovering from out for nearly a year with injuries, surgery. He gets a standing ovation before his first at-bat. And what does he do? Straight out of Hollywood, he homers. 3 RBIs for Votto in his season debut. Reds 5, Rockies 4. Okay, we said it. We asked, would people show up at the ballpark in Cincinnati? They went on the road. They come home with an 8-game winning streak. This is the oldest baseball city in the National League. They love their Reds, even though the ownership has run the franchise into the ground. They've got a bunch of young, exciting players. We put the over-under at 20,000. Would they draw 20,000, which is below average for a major league crowd, by the way?
But it was a Monday.
Uh-huh. Yes or no?
I'm feeling good. I'm going over.
20,344.
Look at you.
Look at you 2-for-0 on Card Sharks tonight.
Not a lot of wiggle room on these.
By the way, Arizona scored 6 in the first in that 9-1 win over Milwaukee. Their lead is 3.5 over the Giants. who scored 2 in the 9th, and then Mike Yastrzemski with a 3-run homer in the 10th to walk off the Padres 7-4. Cubs shut out Pittsburgh 8-0. Pirates have lost 7 in a row. And yet the Pirates are only 3 back of the Reds. Cubs are only 3.5 back, though. Tauschman with 3 hits and 3 RBIs for the Cubbies. Josh Young, the rookie, with his 15th homer of the season for Texas. They beat the White Sox 5-2. They are 18 games over 500. 72 games into the season. They're on pace to win over 100 games, are the Texas Rangers. Red Sox have won 5 in a row. They beat the Twins 9-3. Minnesota's in first in the AL Central, and we're not allowed to talk about them. They don't qualify. They're below 500. Yep, 36 and 37, and they're in first. Red Sox are like a handful of games above 500, and they're in last.
Should we let a team into the playoffs that has a record below 500?
And not only that, as division champions, they'll have home field advantage. Is that fair?
We wouldn't allow this in other sports. Oh, we do.
We'll talk about that more coming up on NFL Live. Alex Verdugo with 4 RBIs for Boston. Detroit with 5 in the 7th. They beat the Royals 6-4. KC's lost 12 of 13. Mark, you're not going to believe this. They're only a game ahead of the A's in the standings for worst record in baseball. The A's were 12 and 50 at one point. They're now a game behind Kansas City, who's 19 and 53. Yikes. Cardinals have won 3 in a row. They came back from a 5-0 deficit, beat Washington 8-6. Now it's the Nats who have the worst record in the National League. College World Series. 2 top 5 teams went at it. It was a good one if you like pitching and defense and that sort of thing. Wake Forest 3-2 over LSU. So the top 2 seeds are both 2-0. Number 1, Wake. Number 2, Florida. Everybody else is playing losers bracket elimination games. Tennessee eliminated Stanford yesterday 6-4. We got 2 elimination games today. TCU and Oral Roberts. Losers out. Winner's going to play the Gators. Gators will have 2 chances to beat them once to advance to the finals. Same with LSU and Tennessee. They play today. Second time they're playing in the tournament, by the way. Loser goes home. Winner gets to play Wake Forest. Then they got to beat them twice in a row. Or else Wake is going to go to the finals. Number 1 seed hasn't won the College World Series since 1999. Hard Knocks, by the way, we talked about it earlier. NFL doesn't have anybody who wants to do it. The Jets, the Bears, the Commanders, and the Saints are the 4 teams eligible. They've all told the league, not interested. Doors are locked. Looks like the league's going to have to play the heavy. NBA. Phoenix already played the heavy with Chris Paul. They traded him to the Wizards. He intimated in a Good Morning America interview yesterday morning that Isaiah Thomas is playing a role in the moves in Phoenix. Chris said, quote, Matt and Isaiah, I guess, just wanted to go in a different direction, unquote. It's funny, if you go on the Suns website, Isaiah Thomas is not an employee of the
No,
Phoenix
he is
Suns.
not.
By the way, the word is Washington's trying to trade Chris to one of the 2 LA teams. Paul spends he lives in Los Angeles, and he's got a young family, and so he'd like to play for either the Clippers or he and LeBron have talked about playing together for 10 years. Well, they could have their chance. Word is, by the way, Lillard wants to stay in Portland. Damian Lillard does not want to leave Portland. My goodness. Talk about the anti-NBA guy right now. It's Damian Lillard. He wants to stay. Portland's got the 3rd pick of the draft. Apparently, they're willing to trade it for a veteran player, a good one, so that they can, become decent immediately.
So be it. You don't want to you don't want to win? Fine. Stay in Portland.
The Magic, by the way, have the 6th and 11th picks in this draft, and the last thing Orlando needs is another young player. If you're Orlando, Don't you like package those and like go and acquire, I don't know, Brandon Ingram for New Orleans? I mean, like a good player. How about Damian Lillard? Seriously. No? All right, just an idea. Did you hear about Tom Watson's open letter?
I read Tom Watson's open letter.
Don't know if it was intended to be an open letter, but somebody leaked it to the Associated Press. He sent it to Jay Monahan, the PGA Tour Board, and, quote, my fellow players, which I'm sure the guys on the Champions Tour were like, why are we getting this letter? But anyway, in it, Tom Watson questioned, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? I want some answers. Otherwise, I mean, he basically said, we better be going bankrupt or otherwise this sucks and I'm not in favor of it.
There you go.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting for the first PGA Tour player to resign from the PGA Tour, even if it's a former player. Like when we talked about it, I'm waiting for Tiger to do it. He's never going to play another PGA Tour event anyway. Maybe Bay Hill to honor and the Memorial. Maybe, but probably not. And do you really think Tiger cares if he plays the players? I mean, seriously. If Tiger's ever going to play again, he only cares about the 4 majors.
And that's a big if.
Right. Did you hear about the 2 soccer friendlies yesterday that got canceled because of racism? So the under-21 Irish team and both these matches took place in Austria on the same pitch. So the under-21 Irish team is up 3-0 on the Kuwaiti Olympic team late second half. And apparently one of the Kuwaitis, used the N-word and went to one of the Irish players. And the Irish just said, yeah, we don't tolerate this. And when they didn't kick the Kuwaiti player out of the game, the Irish just walked off the pitch. Said, no, we're done. Okay. Then New Zealand's playing Qatar or Qatar, whichever you prefer. They're up 2-0 at halftime. And apparently right before halftime, one of the guys from Qatar used the same word for one of the All Whites. And the All Whites basically said to the referee, you better do something or else. And the referee said, why don't you guys go into the locker room? We'll go to half a minute or two early, and we'll come out, cooler heads in the second half. And New Zealand took a vote at halftime and said, no, we're not playing. We're done. By the way, Mexico fired their head coach, manager, whatever they call him. He gets 7 games, Mark. In between the World Cup and the Nations League there, he got 7 matches. He went 3-3-1. They fired him. Hey, the United States got a guy fired in soccer.
In soccer. They beat Mexico so badly and so decisively that they fired the coach after the game.
Huh? You know what? Maybe we are starting to play this sport if we're getting people fired. You hear what's going on between the Mountain West and San Diego State? So San Diego State clearly wants to go to the Pac-12, but they've yet to get the official offer. Well, they have to decide by the end of this month if they're leaving the conference. If so, they give a year's notice. It only costs them $17 million. If they decide after June 30th to leave, it costs them $34 million. They asked for a 30-day extension. The Mountain West told them to pound sand. Also, the Mountain West has already told San Diego State, since you've made your intentions public, as far as we're concerned, you're done. They're like, no, we didn't officially resign. Mountain West is like, well, you did to us. So San Diego State could be a team without a conference here in 10 days because they're going to have to opt out officially of the Mountain West to save $17 million. But as the Cincinnati Reds COO once said,
where are you going to go? And right now they don't know.
They don't have a conference. By the way, the Gators landed a 5-star defensive end, Jamonta Walker, yesterday from the state of Mississippi. They got a running back from Tuscaloosa, Alabama over the weekend also. Kevin Brockway, who covers Gators football and baseball, going to join us live from Omaha, about an hour and a half. Talk about the best 48 hours the Gators football has had in about 5 years.
They are killing it right now on the recruiting trail.
And that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. By the way, Rays and Orioles begin a 3-game series at the Trop tonight. Tampa Bay's leading the division's 5. We can play guess the attendance with that also. David Samson on the other side. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Listen, Empire and Mongo here. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this at all, but apparently, like, the players were the ones that got Berhalter rehired, led by Pulisic. Apparently, they were the ones that are like, yeah, Reno was a spoiled child, and Berhalter did the right thing. So that will be interesting. Top of the morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. What's the big news today?
So officially, what color is that sport coat to you? It looks a little rose to me.
Maybe. Burgundy, maybe?
Okay. Don't get me wrong, I like it.
A little lighter than burgundy. Not sure. Whatever it is, it was next on line.
There you go.
You would laugh at seeing me in the morning.
You know, we were chastising ourselves during the first hour because we're probably our greatest strength as a show is we're really good at like looking at a board and actually putting the pieces together in advance. Like we're pretty good at saying, listen, this is going to happen and here's why. How we didn't yesterday conclude that Bradley Beal trade had Isaiah Thomas written all over it is a total failure of Miller and Moulton. I'm a Knicks fan. Mark is a Pistons fan. How we did not put that together before Chris Paul said it is such a failure.
They're doomed. I'm doing I think I'm leading nothing personal with that because I'm so shocked that players like Jeter and Isaiah Thomas can just get the ear of somebody, the unconditional ear. I've never had that before. No one's ever had an ear unconditionally for me. That's for sure. It's quite powerful. And in the wrong hands, you get global thermonuclear war.
What is this, War Games? Would you like to play a game?
Isn't that movie 40 years old now?
It
Gotta
likely
be.
Is, but that's still, everyone knows that reference. Don't they know the Joshua? Probably not.
No, my wife's, every time my wife sees that movie, like she stops, she watches it to the end. She loves it.
The best game
is never to play.
Would you like to play tic-tac-toe?
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds.
All right. 30.
Hope the show's going well.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
If it's the top of the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday, that means it's time for David Samson. He of the Nothing Personal with David Samson daily podcast, which he does live at 8 a.m. every morning. But if you miss it, well, you can always download it later on. Follow him on Twitter at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. Top of the morning to you, sir. How was your Father's Day weekend?
It was outstanding, actually. One of my daughters was in town, so 1 out of 3 ain't bad. I really showed Meatloaf something this weekend.
Hey, we have a Marlins fan who wants us to ask you a question. If you're the Marlins, what do you do about Arise here? He's eligible for arbitration after the year. You know, are you going to do something preemptive here? What do you do with this guy?
I'm going to year to year. It's unreal what he's doing, but why would you pay him at the top? One of the things is he doesn't hit for power. He definitely hits for average. He's an important part of your lineup. Don't get me wrong. He is so much fun to watch, and the thought of him hitting 400 is amazing. The thought of the Marlins being 11 games over is amazing. But you got to be very careful when you're running a team, because if you do it with emotion and then start signing players at their best, you will end up getting screwed.
All right, I remember when we started talking about the new changes in baseball and getting more balls in plays and running. You just said until they start paying guys to hit for average, I'm not interested. And we're way too early into that to start seeing pay for average. But are you seeing more players hit for average? Are you seeing anything that leads you to believe that payment for average is on the horizon?
Nothing. Not at all. I mean, Arias is an unbelievable player. But when you look around, what's getting the attention are the people who are hitting the home runs. You know, Acuna's getting attention because he's got a chance to go 40-40 in theory, which would be amazing. But until they change the rules in arbitration, power pays. That's the reality. Now, Arias has a great story to tell in arbitration. I don't think the Marlins will take him to arbitration. They'll settle it. They'll come to an agreement on what his number should be. But if they want to buy out his free agent years, what if he's asking for 20 million plus in free agency? Is there a 20 million player you can think of who just hits for average? He's not a plus defender. He's just a plus hitter. Don't compare him to Ichiro. Ichiro had every tool in the book.
Would you give him 4 for 60? Buy out his arbitration year and what have you. It's 15 a year, obviously. Would you do 4 for 60?
No, because he's the wrong part of his career. You have to do the math. He's got arbitration still. And so what number would that be in arbitration? Let's say he's at 4 million his first year in arbitration. Then if he has another great year, he's up to 7. And then another great year up to 10. I mean, that would just have to be really, really good years.
Okay, so basically right now, the way the system is, even if he got 20 his first year of free agency, he'd probably only make about 40 million.
This is where I am. I believe that we have right with his service time that he's first time arbitration eligible, or is he second time? I'd have to go look. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know what his pay is this year. But you have to look at how arbitration works. You have to perform each year, which is what the dream is for owners, but not necessarily for players because you have to prove it.
All right. Miller and Moulton have been on this for 2 years. Yesterday, we revised our offer to Ohtani. 8 for 440. That's 55 per.
I am loving where you are. I have a bet with someone, one of my old GMs, where we used to talk about contracts that were signed, and then we would revisit them every year to see whether or not that player was marked to market and whether or not it was a good deal or bad deal. We would revisit 10 or 20 deals per year, every year around spring training to look back at the last year. To me, Ohtani's a $50 million player for sure. The question is, how many years will he go? If you think he can be a front of the rotation guy and middle of the order guy and do it for 8 straight years, I mean, this is his 3rd year. So does he have 8 more in him? I don't know, but that's around what he's going to get. I absolutely agree. That's a better market than a longtime GM gave me. A longtime GM, good friend of mine, set the market at fewer dollars, but 8 years, but fewer dollars. And I took the over on both.
So our thought is that the agent is going to want the highest AAV.
For
sure.
That's
getting to 44. That's easy. But Trout's contract is right under 430. He's also going to want to sign the richest contract in baseball history. So that's why we did the math that we did and came up with 8 for 440. It solves both.
The problem is with the luxury tax the way it is, teams have a benefit, and we saw it this past off season, of going longer to spread out the tax. So if you want to get to 440, he could easily go 10 440, which still gets him 44, which is the largest amount, and gets him more than Trout, and you get to spread out the luxury tax if you're the Angels or whoever signs him.
Would he be underpaid, overpaid, or would it be just right, David, if you're talking about those numbers?
For this particular year, a year like this, it's underpaid because you have to split it into 2 players. And he's easily a $25 million hitter and easily a $25 million pitcher. So I believe that you are getting him at a discount. It's very tough to stay that good for this long, but you just don't know with him. He's different than any player I've ever seen.
By the way, for the record, both of ours money is on him going to Seattle for what it's worth. The players, did you catch the player survey that was done? They got a hold of hundreds of players, asked them a bunch of questions. And one of them was, what should be the next expansion city? And 69% of them said Nashville.
So there has to be a team in the East and a team in the West. So Nashville is certainly a candidate on the East and probably the best candidate if you think about it on the East Coast. Montreal is not a real expansion candidate. They're just being used as a stalking horse.
And by the way, they got the second most votes. It was only 10%, but Montreal got the second most votes.
Well, that's also bias from reading papers and reading lists. I think that that's also wishful thinking. But any of these expansion cities, they have to prove to baseball that they've got a plan in place, a financial plan in place that includes a TV deal or how they're going to get TV money, what their season ticket base is going to be, what their corporate sponsorship base is going to be, and what's the stadium financing plan. So I just don't know that Montreal is there. I just want to revisit, if you don't mind, Seattle. The only way Ohtani goes to Seattle is with the blessing of Ichiro. There is such a level of respect there between Ohtani and Ichiro that he's not going to sign with Seattle because he views Seattle as Ichiro's team. And Ichiro's the type of guy who would, of course, give him the blessing, but that would actually have to happen.
That's
Interesting.
That's very interesting. Where do you think he ends up then, David?
I'm on an island so many different times because I'm so upset that I only lasted 3 days on a regular island. I'm on the island about the A's in Vegas. I'm on the island about Ohtani and the Angels. I still believe that there was something going on when he signed with the Angels, where there was some agreement in place that he would stay an Angel, that they would sign him. And it was against the rules back then because he was only allowed to get the international bonus money. But I still believe he stays with the Angels, especially if they do make the playoffs this year and they're finally playing better as a team. But I'm gonna stick to it because so many people in our business change their mind with the wind. I have been on record and I'm gonna stay on record. The worst I can be is wrong, right?
Right. Like you are about the A's in Vegas. All right. John Morant, 25 games. Okay. Too little, too much, just right.
God, I love Goldilocks in the morning. I had 41 and I lost my weight to see on Nothing Personal. I thought he'd suspend him half the season. I thought when 25 was announced that was an approved and agreed deal with the NBA Players Association, and it turns out it wasn't. They're very upset with even 25 games. They're even more upset they have to defend John Morant and possibly defend him in a grievance against the NBA. I think the problem with John Morant is he needs more time than 25 games to get his life together because there's a danger there, not just to his basketball career, but to his life career. And he really has a problem. His apology to me was written by his PR people. It's the same one he did 2 months ago. It was meaningless then. I assume it's meaningless now. It's got to be all action, and we'll see what happens. But I think 25 games, it goes by really quickly, though that number does take him out of all NBA postseason awards or all NBA awards.
Yeah, this is only costing him, $70 million for his antics. But I don't know, if 25 games is he's got it the entire summer. If he wants to rehabilitate himself, he's got the time to do it, David. It's just a matter of not whether he wants to, and I don't think he does.
It takes longer than you think to extricate yourself from your past and to surround yourself with new people. It's hard. I've seen players, it's the pull when you are back home during an off season. We've spoken to our players, a lot of them who go back to the Dominican, and try to explain to them, you're going back now as a rich man. You're a target. You've got to be careful when you're home, and we'll send people to go visit the players. It's just a different world with all of the money involved. And you say he's cost $50-70 million. You're correct. On the other hand, he's also quite wealthy right now. And his contract, while it didn't go to the max because he didn't have an all-NBA selection, it's still a huge max contract. So I still view him as a target with hangers-ons, and that can be a problem.
Got about 90 seconds left. This PGA Tour LIV thing, we assumed it was done because of money. Well, now everybody's questioning the deal. I mean, we got senators, we got the Department of Justice. I don't know if this is going to get approved. And if it is, it could take a couple years. I mean, it sounds like the PGA Tour made this deal because 2 years from now, they'd be bankrupt if they didn't. I mean, is the PGA Tour in trouble?
I just think they didn't want to fight anymore. And their view is if they can do a PR announcement which says that we're still in charge of a merged entity and we can find a way to appease Tiger and Rory and other players who didn't take the money, that it'll all work out. The deal is in jeopardy, no doubt. Liv is as resolute as ever as continuing to operate next season and maybe even beyond. And maybe they knew the government was going to get involved and this was their way to get out of the litigation. But that would be Jay Monahan playing chess, and I've known him to be a checkers player. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But this story is not over.
Are you in favor of it? Like if you were a senator of the Department of Justice, would you approve it? I mean, I will say it does create a monopoly.
Is the NFL a monopoly for good football players?
Well, we know that the Major League Baseball and the NFL are allowed to be monopolies.
Well, MLB has an antitrust exemption, but it's not to make them a monopoly. You're allowed to go play football somewhere else. You're just not going to make as much money. It's the same thing in business. If you want to be on Wall Street, you try to go to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley if you can get a job there. If not, there's a million other places you can work, like there are a million other leagues. You can go play basketball around the country, around the world, I should say, and football, XFL, etc. And golf, there's different tours if you're not good enough. So I am not inclined to say that PGA is a monopoly.
He's David Samson. Nothing Personal with David Samson is his daily podcast. He will record it in 47 minutes. He joins us Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Follow him on Twitter at David the letter P Samson. David P. Samson. Have a great rest of your day. Love your rose-colored blazer.
See you next Tuesday.
Miller and Moulton will react on what David said and have a little more for you. It's about the College World Series. That's next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't think so, Mongo. By the way, Paul, it's Ja, J-A, not John. And Doggist, in theory, a PGA Tour player, if they were prominent enough, could probably call ahead to LIV and say, listen, is there a spot for me next year if I resign? But otherwise, it would be sponsors exemptions, because I don't think they'd be allowed to play on the DP World Tour either. Maybe they'd be allowed to play on the Asian Tour and in South Africa and Australia and places like that. That's why we think it has to be either an over-the-hill player who's not going to play much anymore, or such a prominent player that whenever they picked up the phone and wanted to play in a tournament, the tournament would give them an exemption. Like if John Rahm quit in protest, I mean, John Rahm would pick up the phone and wherever he wanted to play, they'd let him in. Adam, it wasn't really also what they got played. If you've listened to any of the caddies, it's how they've been treated on that tour. They've been treated as if they count. Like they're allowed to, hang with the players. There is not the divide that there is on the PGA Tour.
He's 187 years old. Half the guys on the tour don't even know who he is.
Also, the last time that those guys on tour, the veterans, had to deal with Tom Watson, it was when he was Ryder Cup captain, and that did not go well.
Yes, Hops. $30.
It's in Italy.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll head to Omaha next hour. Talk a little Gators baseball, but also some Gators football. They've had a good couple, 2-3 days. Got to start getting some Jimmys and Joes, right, Mark?
They've had a couple of good days. They had some good days in Omaha. They're cruising.
It's June, baby. It's the Gators month. It's June.
I'm disappointed in their fans, however.
Why is that?
I don't know if you're aware, David, but at Rocco's Pizza in Omaha, they host a Jell-O shot challenge every College World Series. Fans of the competing schools to see who can drink the most Jell-O shots.
Well, we know who the winner is this year.
Absolutely, we know who the winner is this year.
I mean, that's LSU.
Right now in the competition, as of 13 hours ago, according to the CWS Jell-O Shot Challenge on Twitter, LSU has down 21,435 Jell-O shots. Virginia is in last place with 569.
Well, and they got eliminated. So, that total might not even go up at all.
Right. Stanford was at 720.
They got eliminated.
Give it up for Oral Roberts, however. Wake Forest is in second with 5,572. TCU in third place with 3,117. But Oral Roberts with 2,610 Jell-O shots is ahead of 2 SEC schools.
Wow. Give it up to the Summit League there.
The Florida Gators Jell-O shot total is pathetic. 1,716 Jell-O shots.
Are they ahead of Tennessee?
That's nearly 20,000 behind LSU.
But are they ahead of Tennessee? Or are they the last of the SEC schools?
They are barely ahead of Tennessee.
Okay, that's the competition within the competition right there.
LSU breaking records, all-time team total, all-time overall total.
College World Series technically could go another week, you know. It could go till Monday.
I know. So in the Jell-O shot challenge, LSU doing exactly what we thought they would do. They're dominating.
But for the record, the teams that are 7th and 8th have both been eliminated. So maybe there is something to this Jell-O shot thing. Fans need to step up to help their team's success.
That is at Rocco's Pizza. And
Man.
they do give proceeds from every shot goes to the food banks for all 8 teams and the Heartland Food Bank. So they do some good things out of it at Rocco's Pizza in Omaha. I just thought that was a fun little competition that LSU is dominating.
Well, I mean,
They had a 2-0 lead late last night and let it slip away.
Yeah, it was like 2-0 in the 6th, I think. And then the guy walked the bases loaded. They gave up 2 to tie it and gave up the winning run in the 8th. Second time Wake has won in their final at bat in this College World Series. It's been an amazing College World Series. They've played 8 games, 6 of them decided by 1 run, 1 by 2, 1 by 3. Man, it's been very competitive. Hey, before we get to Felipe, there's a breaking story this morning across the pond in France. I'm not going to pretend to know anything more than what I'm about to tell you. So next year, the Olympics is in Paris.
Right.
Don't know how many people are aware of that. It's Paris, then it's Los Angeles. We've got the World Cup in 26. We got the Summer Olympics in 28. So next year, the Summer Olympics are in Paris. The French financial police have raided the Paris Olympics Organizing Committee offices this morning. First off, you would think if there's one police force that would look the other way, it'd be yours. But what the heck could be going on if it would be like all of a sudden the FBI shows up in a year before the Los Angeles games, or in a couple years, we're getting ready for the World Cup, and all of a sudden the FBI raids the World Cup offices in Los Angeles or whatever. Be like, wait a minute, this ain't good.
Can we just have a normal, non-controversial Olympics for once?
No. FEMA, FIBA, and the Olympics. Okay, you can't get any more corrupt. Honestly, the U.S. Congress looks at international sports and goes, "Man, you guys are corrupt." Honestly, I mean, there are people convicted in Congress of fraud that look at like international soccer and the Olympics and go, "Man, I got nothing on you." So it's just, Mark, I don't know if that's breaking or developing.
I don't even know what to make of it. It's a police raid
Right.
of an Olympic headquarters. I mean,
right. I think, by the way, when they're coming through your doors, it's breaking. But as the time goes by and they're walking around the offices, it's developing. So there you have it.
So from breaking to developing to yesterday's action, it's Felipe with our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have? Are you going to Paris?
Definitely not. No.
Good.
Death, taxes, and Luis Arias getting on base a few times. He had his third 5-hit game of the month last night.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Here's a swing and a line drive. Fair ball down the left field line. He's done it again. He is incredible.
2 runs are going to score. The Marlins lead 9-0. Luis Arise, for the 3rd time in 16 days, just a little over 2 weeks, has his 3rd 5-hit game.
5 for 5, 2 RBIs. The Marlins destroy the Blue Jays 11-0, and they are 42-31 on June 20th, 2023.
Felipe with his Marlins jersey on too.
I mean, I tried to tell you guys that they were going to have a good season this year.
You did. You did. You said 500. We mocked you. We laughed at you.
It's remarkable because their run differential is still a negative run differential.
Right. It should be the Cubs. It's awesome.
They're winning all the one-run games.
And last year, they were the worst team in baseball in one-run games. You know what? Apparently, it was Mattingly. I guess that's it. It was Don Mattingly. That's it.
I will say he was stupid a lot of times.
Really?
The 16 Marlins fans disagreed with Don a lot of times.
Marlins fans? First off, Marlins fans? All 17
I
of
said
them?
the 16 Marlins fans.
Gotcha.
The 16 Marlins fans disagreed with Don Mattingly a lot over the last few years, but things are looking promising in South Beach.
They got the Pirates for 4 later this week. I mean, this record could get gaudy. Split the next 2 with Toronto, take 3 out of 4 from Pittsburgh.
I think the Braves are on the horizon, though.
At Boston, at Atlanta, yeah, no doubt.
So
But
that's where these streaks have come to end over time. Let's see if they can do anything with the Braves next week.
That's okay. That's all right. Go 4-2 the rest of the week. Put that baby up there. What'd that be? 46-33. Head on the road, 13 games above 500. There you go. Got the Rays hosting the Orioles tonight at St. Pete. They're 5 up on Baltimore. Got the Yankees in Toronto, double digits back, along with Boston. I mean, if the Rays sweep this thing, the AL East could be over by Friday.
Pump the brakes over there. It's June 20th. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We should have that reporter that you were talking about yesterday. David.
I've tried for 2 weeks.
Hayden.
Cannot get him to respond at all.
Hater.
Even to say no.
A word.
That's funny.
I gotta stay humble though.
Right. Well, that, and then when we think of
you're so good at that.
Can't go cocky Miami fan just yet.
That's all that you are.
It's so hard. You know, I've been spoiled.
Spoiled by the Marlins?
No. When I say
I will
cocky
say,
Miami fan,
I will say, Felipe, you make me root against Miami teams. I want them to lose because of you. Your bandwagon-ness is obnoxious.
so false. There's nothing bandwagon about me. I like Miami sports teams and I like players. I don't root for any other teams.
And I like big butts, and I cannot lie.
Your other brothers can't deny. We talked about that in the 6 o'clock hour, right? No? The Tom Watson letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hops, I don't think the letter was intended to go public. Somebody sent it to the AP. But if it was intended to go public, I think it was self-serving. See, I don't want to hear, with all due respect to all of them, okay? If you said what some of those guys said about LIV and the Saudis and the guys who left to go there, you should resign. I mean, you should. You're a fraud if you don't resign. You're an absolute fraud.
I don't know if they're an absolute fraud. They had no choice as to what happened. They wasn't.
Yeah, but they should be against it. They're like, I can't.
Well, they can
be
be against it, but you can't. You're. I mean, you know, give up your livelihood to be against it.
But see, some of those guys, the prominent ones, would not be giving up their life. If Rory McIlroy said, "I can't be a member of the PGA Tour anymore," would there be a single tournament he couldn't get into? No. Every sponsor that if he said, "Hey, I want to play your event," they'd be like, done. But you just say, no, I'm not going to partake in the PGA Tour. I don't want the pension, or I don't want to play in the Tour Championship, any of that stuff. No, I'm embarrassed. Nope. I'll play tournaments, but I don't want to be part of the tour. No, I'm out. No, you guys are frauds. You're hypocrites. You're a joke. I'm out. And none of them are doing it. So why? Because the money. Which is funny, because that's why the other guys got up and left.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the good guys, and they're scumbags. Got it. Okay, got it. Paper City, I don't know if Congress, how many mergers has Congress said no to? The courts have rejected mergers, but how many mergers has Congress rejected? Not many.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. We'll head to Omaha 1 hour from now. Kevin Brockway covers the Gators and not just baseball. He covers the football team. They've had an interesting last 3 days. Almost all of it good. Some cases very good. Talk to Kevin Brockway about Gators football and baseball coming up 1 hour from now.
21,000 is the text line, 21000. Anything that you want to chime in on the show. If you've never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword FSN Radio. FSN Radio, all one word. Once you've done so, you can text as little or as much as you would like.
By the way, David Samson text during the break. He said we were discussing many things with him, his weekly segments at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. If you miss it, download it, floridasportsnetwork.com. So we're wondering about Arise, who went 5 for 5 last night, his third 5-hit game this month, only the fourth major leaguer in history to ever do that. He's hitting 400 on June 20th. He's making 6.1 this year. He has 2 arbitration years left. 2. So David Samson said, let's just call it 10 and 16 is what he said for his next 2 years before free agency. And we proposed if the Marlins sat down with him right now and said, how about 4 for 60? Well, if you take those 2 years and add it up, that's 26, which means in his 2 free agency years, they'd give him 34, 17 per. I think it's a fair offer. 4 for 60 for a singles hitter, but arguably the best in baseball. He's won 1 batting title, that in the American League, well on his way to another one, which, by the way, you can count, I think, on one hand the number of guys who won batting titles in each league. Pretty impressive.
Seems like it's short money. But you're also dealing with the GM right now that's got to get renewed before she's making any deals with any of her players.
And she's the one that acquired him. Do you think when she goes to the owner, Bruce Sherman, maybe drives across the alley and is in his living room in Naples and goes, hey, I want to talk to you about Arise. Would it be awkward if I talked to you about my contract too?
Can we tie the two together?
Right.
Have you seen our record? Could I get a contract renewal?
Because my contract's up at the end of the year. I don't know. This is the best record we've had at any point in the season in 12 years. No? Can't get a contract extension? Huh. Okay. I mean, I know you hate everything about Derek Jeter these days, but I don't know. I seem to be doing okay. No?
You know, the National League right now would be Braves, Reds, and Diamondbacks as division winners.
Ha, ha, ha.
And then Marlins, Giants, and Dodgers as wild cards.
Philly's a game back of the Dodgers.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mets and Padres both below 500. Combined, their payrolls are over $600 million.
In the American League, it would be Twins under 500, Rays and Rangers, and then Orioles, Angels, and Yankees.
Oh, yeah, because Astros lost last night, so they dropped a half game below the Yankees.
Right.
So think about that. All right. We got the 2 teams who played in the World Series last year who right now would miss the playoffs on June 20th. One thing that does have to be pointed out, though, the National League's been funky lately. It was a week ago we were talking about, teams that were below 500. In mid-June, Mark, in 2019, when the Braves, it was the Braves, right? No, the Nats. In 2019, when the Nats won the World Series, in mid-June, they were below 500. In 2021, when the Braves won the World Series, in mid-June, they were below 500. Hell, on August 1st, they were like 500. And last year, the Phillies in mid-June were below 500 because remember, they were 22 and 29 when they fired Girardi. So the last 3, because in 2020, we weren't playing in mid-June. So the last 3 full baseball seasons that we've had, The team that has represented the National League in the World Series has been below 500 in the middle of June.
So you're saying my Padres have a chance at 35-37?
I am.
Because as I look through the teams in baseball that are under 500 that you actually think the Mets, the Padres, well, of teams that you think could do something. The Mets, the Padres, and that's it. Seattle's right at 500.
And, obviously they're in the American League. The rules have been different there. But in the National League, yes, that's the case to make for your Padres this year. Yep, hey, we're just following the script, baby. We're just following the script.
And the Twins have had so many chances this year to put that division away, but they're not a very good baseball team. They're unable to do so. Here are the Guardians just 2 back, and they're 5 games below 500.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I know you don't like my idea of splitting the season in half. I just want to give that whole division a mulligan. Hey, let's just pretend this didn't happen. Let's have it be the Bobby Ewing lost year at Dallas. Let's just come back, take a shower, and let's go do this. So I will say, I'm finding the season to be fun. I do have to correct myself. I was wrong. I had the Rays playing a 3-gamer against Baltimore. It's actually just a 2-gamer. It's tonight and tomorrow. And then they host the Royals for 4. So let me get this straight. The Rays are hosting 4 with the Royals, and the Marlins are hosting 4 with the Pirates. This is all-you-can-eat buffet week, I guess, in Florida baseball.
Hey, there aren't many awful teams. There's some bad teams, but you got to take advantage when you get the awful teams or the slumping teams on your schedule, because the Pirates right now are playing terrible baseball. The Marlins have a great opportunity. The Royals are just bad.
Royals' second worst record in baseball. They've lost 12 of 13. Pirates have lost 7 in a row. And yet they're only 3 back. But I'm telling you, I said the Rays, this thing could be over. If they sweep Baltimore, they're up 7. Then they're going to take at least 3 out of 4 from Kansas City. If not sweep that series. Telling you, baby, put this sucker to bed. End this thing. Put the check mark next to him.
Well, we've already put the X next to him.
Right. They're in the playoffs.
It's just a matter of what seed they are in the playoffs. That's
Correct.
Really all that remains for the Rays, as they are 51-24. That's with losing 2 in a row.
Yeah, what's what? Okay, is the X or the check mark? What's it clinch playoffs and the other's clinch division? Okay, whichever. We've got the one next to them. We're willing to put the other right next to it by Sunday. This could be a 6-0 week for the Rays. That's what you're thinking here. Let's just go perfect week. Sweep the O's, sweep the Royals, probably be 8-9 games up in the division. Hell, put this sucker to bed. Next.
It's getting late early for a lot of teams. And that's what's just unfortunate. I mean, if you're Boston, Toronto, and the Yankees, here you are above 500. You'd be leading the Central, obviously, and you're 10 back if you're the Yankees, 12 back if you're the Red Sox.
I know. I mean, do you think if you're a Rays fan right now, you taking it for the East title, you taking anybody seriously besides the Orioles? I mean, do you think Toronto and or the Yankees or the Red Sox will catch you? Or are you like, hell, no?
No.
I mean, first off, just do the math. There's 90 games left in the season. Just do the math. I mean, first off, we don't know if the Jays, Yankees, or Red Sox, if the Rays were to play 500 ball the rest of the year, if they could play 20 plus games over 500 the rest of the season just to catch them if they played 500 baseball.
I mean, do you see the Yankees going 55-35? Because I don't.
Well, I have to admit, it'd be nice if they got Judge back. I mean, they ain't going to do squat if they don't get Judge back. I mean, he won the MVP last year. I think he's showing how valuable he is this year. Once he hurt his toe, they suck.
And what's this, his second stint on the IL?
Well, this was Aaron Judge pre-2022. I feel badly for him, though. He made a really good play in the outfield, and,
Well, blank happens.
Yep. But imagine that. Stanton went on the IL for 6 weeks. He's come back, and he can't hit a beach ball. He's like 6 for 53 or something like that. So, no, I don't know. No. Yankees are not winning the East. The Jays are not winning the East. Boston is not winning the East. It's a 2-team race. And the Rays are more likely to make a move before the deadline than the Orioles are. That's the other funny thing. Very rarely do the Rays outmaneuver the big three in that division at the deadline when they're in contention. But the Orioles are on record as saying, oh, no, we're cheaper than the Rays. No, we ain't spending any money. These 2 games are pretty important. And then I think they've got like a 4-game series in late July. I mean, I'm serious. They only play 13 times nowadays. I mean, Mark, I'm telling you, we could head into August. The East could be done. If the Rays keep on keeping on, this sucker will be over with 2 months to spare.
It's hard to argue with what you're talking about because, one, they've been unbelievable at home. They're getting home runs up and down the lineup.
Now you wonder if it'll continue. I think they're kind of overperforming offensively. I'd love one more bat, but don't quite know who I'm taking out of the lineup.
I was going to say, who are you taking? Thank you. Who are you taking out of the lineup for? I mean, unless you're getting one hell of a bat, where are you putting the bat and who are you taking out?
I mean, I'd rather have a reliever, to be honest with you.
I'm fine with that. I don't know where you're going to put the bat, David.
I don't either. There's a part of it. I just think that at some point, one of those positions that's overperforming is going to come back to the mean.
But part of their overperforming is because they're all overperforming a little bit. It's when you're getting the runners on base, it's a lot easier to hit. They're putting their team in the best position every night.
And here's the funny thing with the Marlins. If their ace could start pitching like an ace, this team could be dangerous. It is the thing that scares me about the Marlins, though. Look at the teams that we're talking about. Who's out of the playoffs right now by a game in the National League? The Phillies. I mean, right now, what's the Marlins lead on the Phillies? Like 3? 4?
3.5.
3.5. I mean, right now, who you betting to finish ahead of one another? Marlins over Phillies or Phillies over Marlins?
I'll take the Phillies. I mean,
right. Yeah, exactly. And so who are the other 2 wild card teams? There's San Francisco and LA. Oh, boy. So, if you don't hold off the Phillies, the Giants and Dodgers have money and they're going to make moves. And
the Mets are going to get healthier. I mean, I know you're down on your team. They're going to get healthier.
Yeah, I will say, though, their starting pitching is such a disaster right now. This may just be one of those years where the Marlins, put it this way, I think the Marlins have a much better shot to finish ahead of the Mets than the Phillies. That's why, I'm riding this Marlins train now because, never mind the Padres. I mean, the Marlins have to hold off the Phillies in the East, and they got to hold off the Padres. Oh, boy.
Not a lot of faith that 2 teams in the Central are going to get hot.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're safe over the Pirates and the Reds if you think the Brewers, who I think are going to win that division when it's all said and done.
But that's why, I'm riding, and it's why it's important. You've got the Pirates coming to town who are slumping. If you're the Marlins, man, you got to bank these wins. You got to bank these wins now. Because you got to figure, the Phillies, A, have found their stride, and B, you got to figure the Padres and the Mets are going to show a pulse at some point. So you got to bank these wins. 86 is what got you in the playoffs last year in the National League. I'm not sure that's going to be enough this year. You might need a couple more. So bank them when you can.
Miller and Moulton. Kevin Brockway will join us in the 8 o'clock hour to talk Gators. Text line open at 21,000. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sonny, you think McClanahan's going to make more money than Sale? Although, Sale grew up in the Lakeland area, but went to college at FGCU. So it depends on, do you consider him Southwest Florida or not? But I don't think McClanahan's going to get Sale's contract, if for no other reason than the team he plays for. Of course, probably wait 2 more years and trade him.
There you go.
I mean, Mr. Boutte, I wouldn't bet the Reds, but it's fun.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton for Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits 1 hour from now for the 239 Miller and Moulton Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Kevin Brockway to join us live from Omaha in a little over 35 minutes. Talk Gators baseball. They're undefeated on their side of the bracket. And Gators football, which has had a good week so far, starting with the weekend. Very good week, in fact. Best recruiting week in years. Talk to him about that coming up. Think Gator fans are going to be patient enough, Mark? That's why I think this is important. I think Gator fans need to know heading into the season, listen, we're making progress on the recruiting trail. We got to stick it out with this guy.
I think this week has been really big for Napier because, David, when you ask me if I think the Gator fans are going to be patient, I almost started laughing at you. Because that's not even it's not a realistic question of any college fan base, particularly the Florida Gators fan base, whose patience has been tested over the course of the last few years.
Before you started that diatribe, Adam in our Twitch chat room, who's a Gator fan, said no.
No. What would give you any idea that the college football fan would start being patient? The Seminole fan was left with no choice but to be patient because they went through so many coaches in a short run. And they don't have the money that the Gators have.
Well, do the Gators really have a choice? I mean, once again, this is what I would say. When they're struggling this year, which our expectation is they will, Vegas's expectation is they will, over under a 5.5.
For the record, Bud Elliott on our show a couple weeks ago would bet the over on the Gators over-under for what it's worth.
But if they go 6-6 or 7-5, that is not going to, tickle the fancy of Gator Nation. So if this season is a bit of a slog, again, third in a row, and Gator fan says to you, Mark, you're playing golf on a Wednesday, and a Gator guy in your group in October is like, we got to get rid of Billy Napier. Okay. Who you replacing him with? I mean, just so you know, Lane Kiffin re-signed at Ole Miss for $9 a year. Don't know who else you're calling, but that's the price of doing business these days. Plus, if you get rid of them, all these guys who committed to him and his staff can go bye-bye.
Therein lies the real problem in today's world. The portal's great right up until you lose your coach, when everybody can get up and walk away. And the new coach wants pretty much everyone to walk away and wants to turn over your roster. That's very professional.
He got a 5-star out-of-state kid to say yes to him yesterday. And the biggest reason he got him, the guy recruiting him. The guy recruiting him has recruited him when he was at 2 other schools the last 2 years. At Southern Miss and Alabama. And the player likes him. He's comfortable with him. He's comfortable with the Gators' defensive system. It's versatile. He goes, I'm versatile. He's a 5-star defensive lineman. How many of those guys have walked through the door lately? Gator fans going to have to grin and bear it this year. I'm sorry.
Right, but they can't lose games that they're expected to win. The schedule's too tough, David.
Mark, I'm sorry. What's the difference?
I'm saying you're asking if you want patience. I'm going back to your original question. Can the Gator fan be patient? I know what you're saying, David, and you're right. But you're asking if the Gator fan can be patient. What will make them patient was the recruiting work that's been done this week and hopefully will be done next week, because June was a monster month for recruiting for the Florida Gators. And so far, they've done an exceptional job. But the next part of their patience, David, is to not lose games, to not be in a 7-3 game with USF entering the fourth quarter.
I understand that. But Mike Norvell in his second year lost at home to Jacksonville State and went 5-7. And most Knowles fans were like, we got to get rid of him. We made another mistake. And Miller and Moulton were like, you're not paying attention. You're being emotional here. He's actually doing a good job restocking the shelves. He needs time. This pantry was in so much worse shape than you're willing to acknowledge. The food that was on the shelves was rotten.
The other thing when it comes specifically to the Gators, David, where I think there's reason that the fans will be a little more patient, is that they're part of the problem. This whole Gator collective wasn't the university's fault. It was the alumni's fault. They screwed it up. They ran it.
Oops.
So I think you combine a few things right now. You're able to get some patience out of the Gator fan base. But don't lose to Kentucky week 2, if you know what I mean. Don't give them more reasons to get angry. Because college football fan is emotional.
Listen, if I'm Strickland, the AD, and I'm Billy Napier, the head coach, I'm saying, you sure we can't rework that to 2024 schedule? I'm not saying, cancel games, but can we push them a little further down the line? I got 8 SEC games. I got Miami, at Florida State, and UCF. I mean, Seriously? I got 11 Power 5 games. There ain't going to be another SEC school who plays 11 Power 5 games. And that's going to be my make it happen year. You can't help me out a little bit here? Can't push the Canes to 2026? I mean, just a little something. I can't do anything about the Florida State game. Probably can't. I get UCLA. Can we push that Canes game to like 2026? And can we, I don't know, find a Central Michigan? Can you help me out a little bit? Even if I win the game, I just don't need to be playing 11 challenging games. That's all. No, nothing. All right. Thanks, boss. Appreciate it. By the way, you lied to me when you interviewed. You guys didn't have nearly as much talent as you said we had. This roster sucked. Thanks. I wasn't Kirby inheriting a 9-3 Georgia team.
Boy, how quickly things change. There's a comment in our Twitch chat room that I'm going to read that simply says, I'm a UGA fan. However, football is in a much better place whenever Florida is at least relevant.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Oh, it's painful. He's the same guy who a minute earlier said, I don't think Napier is going to make it out of 2024. That's my concern, especially if he's making real progress in recruiting. If he's starting to win battles and is doing the best job of recruiting, let's say, since Urban. I mean, Muschamp had his moments. McElwain had his moments. I mean, those rosters had talent. They weren't the best coach rosters, but those rosters had talent. I mean, when Florida and Georgia played between like 2011 and 2016 there, you thought that these rosters were comparable. Got to give them a chance, man.
Here's what's interesting about the 24 schedule. If you were to just say, where do you think the rosters are against their opponent? Better roster, the same, or worse? Well, the Canes, I think they have a better roster than the Canes. I think they will in 24, but it'll be close.
Because he's doing a terrific job on the recruiting trail.
They're going to have a better roster than Samford. They're going to have a better roster than UCF. They're not going to have a better roster than Georgia. They're going to have a better roster than Florida State in 24.
If he does a great job, it'll be comparable. The advantage he might have is, Florida State will be breaking in a new quarterback.
He'll have a better roster than Kentucky. He won't have a better roster than LSU.
No.
He'll have a better roster than Ole Miss. Will he have a better roster than A&M in 24 with all the recruits that Jimbo's got?
No. Although I'll tell you what, Jimbo could get blown out after this year. I actually think that's in play. Like, for all those talking about Napier on the hot seat, I actually think the seat could get hotter for Jimbo.
He'll have a better roster than Mississippi State. Will he have a better roster than Tennessee in 24?
Probably comparable. Probably in the area code.
Will he have a better roster than Texas in 24?
Better? No. Comparable? Possible? Possible. But right now I would vote no, but possibly. Because he's starting from behind. Sarkisian's got a year on him.
So that's all. I mean, you look at that 24 year, it's not like a normal Gator year where
the
roster's clearly better than the opponent in 8 games.
But I will say this, there's a couple of Florida State comments in our Twitch chat room. I found it interesting when Bud Elliott and 24/7 Sports did their blue chip ratio. Florida State does not qualify. They're preseason top 10. Some people are going to put them top 5. They're going to be a coin flip opening day with LSU. they're going to be a small dog at Clemson week 4. Their roster is not as good and as deep as LSU and Clemson. And it ain't close, actually. Now, they may have the edge at quarterback, and that might make up for it.
But particularly the depth that you talk about, David, with a couple of bad recruiting classes, and they worked the portal and did a lot of things. The depth still isn't there. It's better than it was.
Right.
But it's not LSU Clemson depth.
And doesn't meet the blue chip ratio of, hey, we're good enough to win a national title, which some people think the Noles can this year. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How about this sub?
Oh, yeah. Rich people.
So, Adam, you were 20 years behind the times, and you think that you should then doors are open, we should start winning immediately.
The 23 schedule, Adam? All right, here you go. We all play at home. Utah.
Loss.
That's a loss. McNeese State. That's a win. Home for Tennessee. That's a loss. Charlotte. That's a win. At Kentucky.
Got to get out of the month 3-2.
Home for Vanderbilt. You're 4-2. At South Carolina. Should be 5-2.
But
no guarantees. They've got a quarterback.
Right. And think about it. They beat Tennessee and Clemson then last year.
Then Georgia. That's 5-3. Arkansas. 6-3. At LSU, 6-4. At Missouri, 7-4. Florida State, 7-5. That's being generous.
We gave them a win at Kentucky. That's you giving them Arkansas and South Carolina.
Yeah.
Also. I'm really worried about the quarterback.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Kevin Brockway to join us in a little more than 15 minutes live from Omaha. Talk a little Gators baseball, the College World Series, and their football recruiting prowess of recent days. Hey, this is a big week for me. All right. Two of my favorite things are going on this week. What a Hall of Fame vote in hockey, a draft in basketball. This is a big week, Mark. Big week. This is one of the top 5 weeks of the year for me. I mean, the goober in me is like on high alert this week.
The Hockey Hall of Fame vote?
Yeah.
They don't even care about that in Toronto.
Come on. They do. They do. Have to admit, a lot of really good names. I'll throw one tidbit out at you. This is it. 10 seconds. No. This is justifiable. No, really.
If you say so.
Do you know since the merger with the WHA, there's only 6 goalies they've put in the Hall of Fame that played post-merger?
No kidding.
Just saying.
Wow.
Fuhrer, Patrick Roy, Hasek, Brodeur, Belfour, Luongo.
Look at that.
I'm just saying, it's a position that has not been, represented all that often in the Hall of Fame. That's all. Okay. NBA drafts Thursday. You know a team nobody's talking about? Orlando. They picked 6 and 11. What the hell are they going to do with 6 and 11? They need another young player. Like, the Kardashian needs, a camera around them.
Or another young player.
Right. I mean, first off, there's two things I'd love for Orlando to do. I'd love for them to trade those picks for a veteran player somewhere. I really would. Just a good player. Get me a good player. I'd trade them both. I'm going to throw a crazy idea out at you. Draymond Green opted out of his contract the other day. He's 33. This is his last shot to get paid. Warriors want him back. But, he probably wants a 4-year deal. Golden State really only wants to go to 3. If you're the Orlando Magic, you got to start winning here. You need a winner. You need a guy who makes guys around you better. Draymond does that.
Would be really interesting because they are really young, and Draymond is a blankety blank.
Yes, and they need one. He's 9 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists a game, by the way. Plays defense. He's a team guy. He's a winner. He's a winner in college. He's a winner. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. Most people think he is a Hall of Famer. I think he's borderline, but you got to start winning games there. What did they finish, like 28-26 or something like that in their last 54? I mean, come on.
This is a playoff year for the Magic. They need to be a playoff team.
At least in the play-in, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, is that crazy? If you're the GM and I'm your assistant, and I come in this morning and I go, listen, he's 33. The last year, we're going to regret it. But let's make Draymond a 4-year offer. Okay? He's going to want 30. Let's offer him 4 for 124. Okay? And let's see if and sell him on, listen, man, look, we're close. Draymond, no, there are people around the NBA who think Orlando's close. That if Orlando went and there are people that want, if Lillard was open to being traded, there were people that were like, Orlando should give him 3, 6, 11, a couple of their young guys. You put Damian Lillard on that team win 50 games next year. That's if he played, but I mean, am I crazy? Would you fire me?
No, I'm just worried of how much Draymond has left in the tank. I know the 4th year would be bad, David. I think the 3rd year might be bad as well.
Okay, now say he's an overpriced bench player. Say he's your first big off the bench, years 3, and year 4, we're probably going to regret it. But we can't get him if we don't offer him year 4.
I love the concept of it because they need that. They need to learn how to win. Orlando has gotten better, but they don't have the ability to win games yet. They don't have someone who will hold every player accountable, and that's what Draymond does. It's just that there's such a rough edge to it that it could go a lot of ways. You've got to have the right coach to handle him. I mean, there's a lot to that.
You're putting me on that Draymond to Orlando idea because they could use another playmaker. I mean, they just have a bunch of young scorers.
Yeah, and they've got a rotating crop at point guard there. Right. It'd be a different way, for them to move the ball and score. But they have to get tougher. They have to get better defensively. I mean, I'd like them to get creative with, 6 and 11. Can you trade up? Can you get to 2 with 6 and 11? Can you get to 3? And then with that pick, call New Orleans and say, here, we'll give you the 3rd pick of the draft for Brandon Ingram. Something like that. Would you take the risk? Would you take the Zion risk if you're Orlando?
No.
It depends.
Well, no, it's yes or no. Okay. No. It's yes or no.
Yes. In Orlando, yes, but it depends on what they'd give up. Because I wouldn't give up Banchero. Would I give up this year's picks?
No. Come on. You're not giving up. No, I just said what you're giving up. Okay. The word is New Orleans. New Orleans might be willing to do Zion for basically the 3rd pick of the draft. And, a couple of complimentary players. They've got complimentary players. I think 6 and 11 can get them 3. And Felipe, I might have been a little harsh on you in this sense. I do think there's a contingency with Zion. Mark, roster the way it currently is, I'd never bring Zion in. I'd look at you dead in the eye, go, we signed Draymond Green, make the Zion deal. Now, the problem is I have to make the deal before I can sign Draymond. That's the problem. I can do the deal by Thursday. I can't get Draymond until after July 1st.
Because Draymond
would kick his ass.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he needs that.
All right. Yes. He needs a Udonis Haslem in his life.
Exactly.
He needs a Draymond Green in his life. But I can't get Draymond before I get Zion.
It's so funny. It's why, I laughed. I kind of in my head the other day was thinking about Zion to Miami only because you keep Udonis on the roster for one more year instead of making him a coach, just so he's got someone to mentor him.
Please. That's the case.
Instead of taking up a roster spot, I see a new member of security.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. So now I come back and you go, absolutely not on Zion. And I go, what if I'll put my job on the line? We're getting Draymond.
That's fascinating to me.
Would you do it?
Yes.
Would you do it if you had the top?
I'm all in for that. Draymond to Orlando.
With Zion.
Even without Zion, I'm all in.
I love the idea of it.
Well, maybe you could talk New Orleans into, listen, who do you want? Seriously, who do you want? And do the deal, 6-11, move up to 3, draft the guy New Orleans wants. Okay, you can always trade him in a year. Okay, draft the guy they want. Okay, and then just wait a week, wait to see if you can get Draymond to say yes. You get Draymond to say yes, you call him back, you go, we got all the pieces you want. We doing this?
Well, and who's going 3? Miller from Alabama is the projected 3,
Which is
right?
Another great pick.
Right, because the Scoot Henderson guy is going 2.
The G League guy, right?
Scoot or Brandon, either one.
But the G League guy's going 2 on right, the Scoot Henderson, and then.
So let me get this straight. Wemby's going 1 and Scoot's going 2. Okay, I just want to make sure. Wemby and Scoot. Got it.
Miller and Moulton. We'll switch from Wemby and Scoot to Kevin Brockway and the Gators, talking a little College World Series and recruiting. That's coming up next right here. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Wemby and Scoot Future of the NBA right there. Oh, Hops. You make me laugh. Oh, I'm dead. Hops goes UD fought in
Yeah,
Vietnam.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, man. The oldest player on the Orlando Magic is Michael Carter Williams. He's 31. That's crazy. And he won the Rookie of the Year. Wemby and Scoot does sound like an old sitcom.
It sounds like a country act.
Or like a cartoon show or something like that.
Got to think our Naples guy gets traded. Jonathan Isaac.
I mean,
well, because he's got a great contract to trade. He counts on the books to fill salary cap at 17 million, but only 7.5 of it's guaranteed. So you can throw him in a deal to match salaries, and then the team that cuts him, he only counts 7.5 on their cap. So he helps make the deal, and then he's not that damaging to the team that picked him up. Either that or I think they're going to cut him.
He'll be 26 at the start of the season.
He's played like 30 games since 2019.
Unbelievable. Yeah, since 2019, he's played 45 games. It's crazy.
Did you see what the quarterback who reclassified and went to Ole Miss said?
No.
Florida. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, no, go ahead. This is fascinating to me.
Florida was nice. Don't get it twisted. But the schedule is too tough and they want DJ Lagway. Apparently, baseball also came into play. And apparently, Ole Miss was much more interested in him as a baseball player than the Gators were.
How did he transfer 2 classes? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know. Like my daughter could have, if she wanted to, moved up a year.
Right.
She was very close in credits. She only took like a couple of credit classes her senior year of high school, and she spent the whole year taking college credits at FSW. Okay. My daughter could have moved up a year if she was an athlete, but I have no idea how you move up to.
Kevin's on hold. We're back in 30.
No idea. I mean, do you have to, I don't know, go to summer school this summer and take a load of credits?
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, the bonus hour for those in the 239 at the top of the hour. Final segment for those in Lake City and surrounding areas. Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Kevin Brockway, kind enough to get up early and join us from Omaha. Gators baseball team's 2-0 on their side of the draw, and the Gator football teams had a good 3-4 days. Kevin, it's David and Mark. How's Omaha treating you?
So far, so good. It's what do you call it? It could be a pretty long stay here, and they've upgraded the media hotel, which is good because in the past I've had to stay at a sleep in, but this place is a little bit nicer. So we're doing okay. We're hanging in there, and it was certainly a good weekend for the Gators, both in baseball and in football recruiting.
No doubt. We'll get to the football recruiting in just a second. But Kevin, I've followed a story a little off the College World Series path. Rocco's Pizzas selling Jell-O shots. The Gators are 20,000 behind LSU. What the hell is going on with the Gators faithful?
Well, LSU travels. I mean, that's they're a crazy fan base. They love it out here. They're going to be, but I think a lot of people from the Omaha, convention center, rather, tourism chamber of commerce are going to be pretty upset if LSU gets knocked out. They lost to Wake Forest last night because they really come in droves here. They love their college baseball down there, but that was a heck of a game last night with Wake Forest coming back to extra out 3-2.
Well, it's the first time in 5 years that the Gators have made it to Omaha, and they had a dramatic come-from-behind win in their first game and a solid win in game two. I mean, Kevin, when you look at the first-round picks they have on the bump, okay, and the quality of their roster and how the schedule is already spread out for them and could get really spread out, you could not line it up better for the Gators right now to win a national title than it's lined up, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in really good shape, David. I mean, but it's just a question of just finishing the job. But I always thought, going back to February and first watching them, that this was the best lineup that Kevin O'Sullivan had. And the big question mark was the pitching. Even though you had two guys that were highly regarded and projected first-round picks, they were kind of struggling during the year with control and, getting the ball over the plate. But last few starts in the postseason, the pitching has really come around, particularly Hurston Waldrop has been tremendous. I mean, 3-0 in his last three starts. You really couldn't ask for much better from him, and Brandon Sproat's been very good. So they'll probably throw Jack Caglione on Wednesday, and they'll need a good start from him. But you're right, this lineup, I mean, Wyatt Langford, local kid from Trenton, is probably projected top 3 pick. I mean, there's some even rumblings that the Pirates might take him number 1 because he might be more signable than Dylan Cruz. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Let's switch gears to football. This is obviously a huge year for Napier and the Gators. They coming off of a rough year, a tough schedule, 2 years in a row ahead of them, but they're getting it done on the recruiting trail. This was a big month for the Gators, and so far they have really produced on the recruiting trail, Kevin.
Yeah, no question. And, I think they're doing it in the line of scrimmage, which you need to do in the SEC. You take a look at these recent commitments, and Jamonta Waller, the projected, 4 or 5 star, top, in some services, he's a top 20, top 30 national recruit. Edge rusher, Aaron Childs, a linebacker, Amaris Williams, Nasir Johnson, defensive lineman. I mean, they're really bulking up on that defensive side of the ball. Maury Jackson, he's a playmaking tight end, but they're really addressing both lines of scrimmage here, and I think that's where you begin in the SEC, the foundation. Look, it's going to take time. I mean, these guys aren't, for as highly touted as they are, they're not going to step in and play right away, most of them. So you've got to give it time to kind of percolate, time to kind of build, let these guys develop. But it beats the alternative. It's always good when you can get good football players.
Kevin, and I know the easy cop-out answer is going to say all of the above, but what do you think is the biggest reason why Napier is beginning to make the inroads? Is it, hey, it's year 2, it takes time? Is it the upgrade in facilities? Is it finally having their NIL act together? Of those 3 reasons, which do you think's the biggest?
I think it's finally having the NIL act together, because I think the NIL is what most players are looking for at this point. So I think the fact that they're, more competitive in that sphere is really helping. But I think the facilities help too. I think it's a combination of those two probably. I think Napier and his staff they're probably selling a vision, and I think that's important too, that they're saying, hey, look, you can come in here, you can, work hard, develop, and maybe within a few years you can get early playing time compared to some of these other players, because we're in a situation right now where, we've got a new coaching staff and we've got kind of a new vision on how to do things here.
Is their vision the right one? I mean, are you trusting in what this vision is, Kevin?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think he's trying to build a very physical football team, and a team that, is going to power you. And sometimes I wonder if that's going to work in the SEC against the Alabamas and the LSUs of the world. But they're going to try to establish the run, and, Napier is going to play action. I think you need the quarterback, and the question is, DJ Lagway in 24, is he going to be the real deal? Obviously, Austin Simmons, decommitted over the weekend, and that memory has been erased by a pretty good recruiting weekend. But I still think they got to get the quarterback. They got to get the playmaker, and that's going to be the key to it too.
Well, I mean, Lagway was just at the Elite 11 camp. I mean, obviously you would love to have depth at a position like that, but it's tough. I mean, Kevin, that's the toughest position, I think. Like what Lane has done at Ole Miss to me is amazing. I mean, he's literally got 6 guys now at the position on the roster, 4 of them fairly highly recruited. I have no idea how he's doing that, because usually it's tough to keep 2 highly recruited quarterbacks on the same roster. One of them will transfer.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little, head scratching that Austin Simmons decided to go to Ole Miss of all places when there's so many quarterbacks there. But maybe he feels like, Lane's offense and his vision, and in terms of, how he handles quarterbacks is, he's got a little bit of a track record there. So maybe he feels like long-term it's going to work out for him. I know he also talked about the Ole Miss schedule and so forth, and some other things that it didn't entirely make sense to me. His father did in the Palm Beach Post article, but I do think that, it is a little head scratching, because I think if Austin Simmons came to Florida, given the way the quarterback situation is now, maybe within half a season, he could have really made an inroads and got some playing time, because I still have questions about Graham Mertz and Jack Miller, and whether, they're going to be the guys that can consistently win SEC games.
Yeah, you and us both. He's Kevin Brockway, covers the Gators, Gainesville Sun, the Gannett, Florida Network. He's in Omaha covering the Gators in the College World Series. Follow Kevin on Twitter, Kevin Brockway G1. Kevin Brockway G1.
Kevin, does your gut tell you that the SEC schedules 8 games for just 1 year? Did they go to 9, or do you think there's a possibility this 8 games lasts?
I think that, when I was in Destin, I think it was good to be back there, by the way. The beaches are still beautiful. But I think that they'll probably go 8 for maybe 2 years or 3 years, and then they'll reconvene, and they'll eventually go to 9. But I think they're going to stick with this 8 for a couple of years. I think they like the TV show aspect of it, being able to announce it. And they did a pretty good job, I think, preserving the rivalries. Obviously, Florida's going to get Tennessee again. They're going to get Georgia again. But they get Texas in 2024 at Texas, which should be an interesting road trip. So I think it worked out well for him, and I think it's also, I think it's going to come down to what kind of position is ESPN going to be in a couple of years with regards to the TV deal, because I'm sure they're going to want to rework it. If they're going to go to 9 games like the Big Ten does, they're going to want more money for those 9 games.
And the word is ESPN's told them not a dime. Not a dime. We created a network for you. We're giving you $330 million a year. Not a dime. And I'm telling you, ESPN, they make mistakes. They're not dumb. If you don't think that when they were negotiating this, that Sankey didn't verbally promise them 9, and now he's not delivering, I'm telling you, there's no way ESPN said, "Oh yeah, when you get 9, we'll pay you more." I'm just telling you. I'd put my job on it. That's the fact of life. You said that Napier and his staff are selling a vision. Is Gator Nation on board with the vision? We just talked about it a couple segments ago. We're preaching patience. We're preaching at least the Mike Norvell plan. Year 3 is when maybe you'll see some results, although with your schedule, it may not even be till 2025, that the cupboard was in really bad shape. From the Gator folks that you deal with, are they on board with the vision?
I think it's hard for some of them when they see like what Sonny Dykes did at TCU and so forth, and they say, "Hey, why can't it be done quicker?" But every situation is different, and I do think the SEC is a lot different of an animal than the Big 12, for example. So I think the rational ones are, the irrational ones I would say probably aren't. So right now it's a 50-50 split. I know what matters most is what the guy upstairs thinks, Scott Strickland, and my feeling is he's going to get 4 or 5 years of his 7-year deal to really do that. I mean, the buyout, David, is 85% of his contract. So I just don't see, them, swallowing that amount of money unless things look really, really hopeless. But I would say that he's going to get some time to build this thing, and then we'll see if his vision works, and we'll see if it. And in talking to Napier, a few weeks ago in Destin, he seems very confident in it. And he seems very confident that it's going to work based on what he accomplished at Louisiana. He's following the model and the track record. So, and he even thinks that there's going to be progress in year 2. We'll see. And I think he's basing it just on the fact of the familiarity of the offense or the defense and the systems, and whether that carries out, we will see. But as we all know, talent is an issue too.
Well, also, we agree with what you just said. We think that Strickland's all in on Napier. We just think Strickland might go first if this continues to be a slog. They'll have to get their pound of flesh from somewhere, and they may start with the AD first. Kevin, listen, can you contribute to the Gators Jell-O shot total sometime? I mean, you got an off day today, for goodness sakes. You might even have an off day Thursday. I mean, come on, step up, will you?
I did on Saturday, but I am just one man, David, so I only had 2. Plus, I'm getting a little up there in terms of
I know
my partying days are behind me. But I will say that today I'll probably have to go to the ballpark today to watch the TCU Oral Roberts game, because Florida's going to face the winner of that game on Wednesday. So probably have to the work is never done. Even there are no off days here in Omaha. You're always cranking out something.
Yeah, that's a 1:00 local start, buddy. You could be there for dinner, but okay, I appreciate it. Way to go.
Keep selling it, Kevin.
Right.
That way.
Your bosses are not listening. Save the receipts. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Kevin Brockway, covering the Gators statewide through Gannett and in Gainesville through the Gainesville Sun. Follow him on Twitter, Kevin Brockway G1, Kevin Brockway G1.
Well, the Gator fan will be happy that we got some good baseball talk for them, because they're all in right now.
Sure. Listen, I like their chances to win the national title better than Wake Forest. If for no other reason, like I think, the Gators play the winner of TCU Oral Roberts. I think that's a better matchup than Wake's got to play the winner at LSU Tennessee.
Well, a lot of people thought that the 2 best teams in college baseball played yesterday. Not taking anything away from the Gators, but LSU is right there on par with the Florida Gators, as the Gators are 2, LSU is 3. That was a terrific game last night. And you're right, Wake more than likely, I think, will get another play against LSU before this is done. And so it seems that their road is going to be a little more difficult.
And my hope for the Gators baseball team is that they only need 1 game to get through the winner of TCU Oral Roberts. And they'll have, I think, although Wake's pitching is excellent, but, line up their horses, 2 first-round picks. I mean, if you can line up 2 first-round picks for games 1 and 2 of the College World Series final, I mean, what the hell more can you ask for?
Have you done Omaha before?
I have. Not the new Rosenblatt. I actually went way back almost 30 years ago, old Rosenblatt. That was raucous. That was something. Haven't done new Rosenblatt. Yeah, did it one time.
Rocco's Pizza, that's where the shot contest is at. LSU, a mere 20,000 shots ahead of Florida right now. I don't like their chances, even if LSU goes down.
Listen, if you're a Gator fan, you got to stay ahead of Tennessee. Okay, you're neck and neck with Tennessee for number 2 of the 3 SEC schools.
And they are in an elimination game, and you're cruising in the winner's bracket. Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We thank you so much for listening. The bonus hour in the 239 is next on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, that orange and blue game was hideous, and their quarterbacks looked dreadful. Like, if he had gotten that transfer from LSU this year, I actually think they could have been as good as 8-4. But I don't know. I'm not buying their quarterbacks. They don't have any depth and they don't have a quarterback. They have a tough schedule. It's a tough combo.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's a 4-day work week for us. We're off on Friday. Then we do a full final week of June. And then we'll take a 4-dayer. All right. Mark might take a week. I'm encouraging him to, but we're definitely taking a 4-dayer. Okay, through the 4th, and have an abbreviated week the first week of July. So there. Not a lot of time off. Just a little bit. Little bit.
Looking for more.
Yes.
While
yes.
keeping our jobs.
Right. In fact, we have to talk about that after the show, actually. Listen, we kick a few things around during the bonus hour. You know, some of the things we've kicked around from 6 to 9, some we haven't. Did you see, much was made of this LA Country Club and people not liking it. Okay. The TV viewership was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as the last US Open on Fox, believe it or not, 2019, when Gary Woodland held off Koepka going for the three-peat. It was similar. It was very close, but it's basically, West Coast US Open. They had the comparables, no Tiger in either, blah, blah, blah. And, the ratings from 5 years ago or 4 years ago are at best flat. So here's the lineup. You ready? Pinehurst, Oakmont, Shinnecock, Pebble, Winged Foot. Pinehurst. 2 out of 6 are at Pinehurst. And then 6 years later, they go to Pinehurst again. Because I think that's going to be the new home of the World Golf Hall of Fame. I think they move it to Pinehurst next year. So I think they're pumping them out of it.
Okay.
They're going to squeeze in Marion again in 2030. It's a short course. They had to limit attendance. That was the year Justin Rose held off Phil.
Yeah, I would. One of the things that's really cool about the British Open is how many people are at the British Open. And when they have U.S. Opens that are similar to get those type of crowds, I think it adds to the atmosphere. I think this tournament lost a lot because there was zero atmosphere from the crowd.
I mean, what round was it when Ricky made like that bomb and like 14 people applauded?
Right.
He made like an 80-footer or whatever it was. So we're going to have 2 of the next 6 are going to be Pinehurst.
Okay.
Nothing but royalty in the middle. Oakmont, Shinnecock, Pebble, Wingfoot. So they jam one back in at Marion. They haven't announced the 2031 date, but it's going to be Riviera. Okay. So we've got 4 years. We got a West Coast U.S. Open. 4 years later, we're going to go back to back West Coast because we go Riviera, Pebble. So Pinehurst is getting 2 out of 6, 3 out of 12. Pebble is getting 2 out of 6, 3 out of 12.
Well, I mean, Pebble you got to love because you can finish with an eagle.
Yes. Yes. And the course is not overly difficult unless the wind really blows. Then it's a links course, and then par is a great score because the course is short. I mean, it's really short nowadays. Oakland Hills in 10, 11 years. And apparently they're coming back to LA Country Club in 2039.
Whatever.
There's only 2 of the next, well, there's technically 3 of the next 16 U.S. Opens that have been undecided. One of them's been decided. It hasn't been announced. It's Riviera in 8 years. So the 2036 and 2038 U.S. Opens are available. But, Mark, basically the next 2 decades are done. And it's a lot of Pinehurst, Oakmont, Pebble. I mean, Pinehurst gets, in this next run here, they get 3. Pebble gets 3. Oakmont gets 2.
I don't know if I love them trying to make this the British Open, if you know what I mean, by putting this on a rotation. There are more great golf courses in this country than that.
Now, Oakland Hills, they probably would have gone back sooner, but didn't they lose the clubhouse to the fire?
Right. Clubhouse was burnt down. They're redoing the whole thing.
Right. So there you go. So you got your West Coast U.S. Opens for those of you that loved it. 4 years from now, Pebble. 4 years later, Riviera. 9 years from now, we go back to Pebble. 14 years from now, we're back at Pebble. I got to admit, I know it sounds like royalty. If the wind doesn't blow on that course, they have to trick it up to have a chance against these guys nowadays.
Well, they have to trick it up, period. I mean, they have to be prepared. It has to be tricked up anyhow because they can't know going into it that we're going to have 20-mile-an-hour winds for 4 days.
Right.
So you cut the fairways in half.
Oh, and
I told the story before. I was lucky enough. It's been about 8 years now since I played Pebble, maybe a little less than that. But it was before they were having an open, and there was lines in the fairway. And I'm like, what the hell? Why are they chalking the fairways? It's because the USGA was there, and they'd already determined where. And I remember hitting on I believe it was the 11th hole. I hit a really good drive. Happened to make birdie on that hole. And I split the fairway, and they go, what are you walking? Because I was right by the line, and I had to step off just how much of the fairway was going to go away. It was half the fairway. So that's the only way to make that course competitive for these guys.
Yeah. So, because I think when Woodland won there in 2019, I think he was double digits under par. Now, granted, Tiger was double digits under par too in 2000, but the next best score was +3. So that's kind of an outlier. And when Graham McDowell won, I think it was in 2010, he won it like 1 under or even. So the course was holding up, but it did not hold up last time. They tore it up last time. But, I guess we should expect that, Mark. What is it? It's a links course, basically. It's right there. And what happens at a Open Championship? If the wind blows, it's a blankety blank. And if the wind doesn't blow, it's the St. Jude Classic.
See, Rory's getting a little crap because he made the comment that, you can't root against anybody, but boy, I was hoping he'd 3-putt. What do you want him to say?
I know.
I mean, come on. You're down 1. Your opponent hits the green in 2. Boy, I really hope he 2-putts so I can lose by 1. You're rooting for a 3-putt. Badly.
Once again, we ask for the truth. They give it to us. We crush people for it. I mean, we really do suck sometimes. It's our fault more times than we're willing to admit. And I don't just mean the media. I mean us as a society. I mean, you ask the athlete, or if you don't consider golfers athletes, you ask the golfer, okay, what were you thinking when he was playing 18? Well, I kind of need him to bogey the hole to get in the playoffs, so
hoping he misses the fairway, then I'm hoping he misses the green, and then I'm hoping he misses the putt. What do you want me to tell you?
I mean, I'm not rooting for a snowman, but a 5 wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I'd like an opportunity to play at least one more hole.
I mean, it's one of the 4 hardest holes on the course. I was just hoping for, I don't know, a bogey. I mean, he bogeyed the 139-yard par 3. I didn't think it was out of line. So, anyway, as we're putting it to bed, there's nothing more to talk about with the U.S. Open and what have you. I just thought we'd go locations, because some people really like the West Coast U.S. Opens. So I just wanted to let you know what you're in store for. You're going to have 3 of the next 9 are going to be West Coast. 2 Pebbles and a Riviera. Enjoy.
I'm surprised the numbers weren't a little better with Rory near the top of the leaderboard with Scheffler there. I mean, they had a pretty good leaderboard. Even though a name didn't win it, Rory was there the entire time. Fowler, who's a bit of a name, was there. So I'm surprised that it didn't do a little better. But I think the fact that it was nondescript, there weren't a lot of birdies being made. There wasn't a buzz of the final round of the Open. You and I spent a little time on Twitter. It wasn't like Twitter was all a buzz. They were talking about the U.S. Open, but they weren't all a buzz. It wasn't bringing in other sports people, if you will.
Well, I mean, golf, I think, has to accept that the Tiger era is over. And let's go back and take a look at what golf ratings have been like pre-Tiger, and then during the last 10 years when Tiger was injured or not in contention. I mean, golf is largely back to its base audience. And you pretty much know what that is.
And they honked off that audience with the merger between Live Golf and the PGA Tour.
Well, to some degree, yes, I think they did. Now, we talked about it. Honk it off enough for you to stop watching?
My first little experiment into that happened over the weekend. Had my mom over for dinner on Saturday night. And I had the golf on. Of which she said she was done with it, even though the U.S. Open isn't really the PGA Tour. But come on, mom doesn't know those intricacies that well. And so I had the golf on. Said, "You watching?" She gritted her teeth. Says, "Yeah, I really like to watch golf." So her boycott didn't even last a week.
Right. Way to go, Mom. Way to go.
And I'm not picking on my mom because I think that's every golf fan. If you're a golf fan, you watch golf. Where else are you going to watch it?
Okay, so is this week's Travelers, next week when they're in D.C. at Tigers tour? I mean, do we have to take the major out of the equation and now see whether or not Mom watches the Travelers?
Well, I'm going to invite her over for dinner a lot on the weekends and have golf on.
Come on. That's like, putting the favorite food in front of a fat person. I mean, come on. What are you doing?
If you're outraged, say something. Could you please turn that off? Sure, Mom, I'd be happy to. If it bothers you that much, let's watch the LPGA.
You're not helping.
Golf fans not going anywhere. That's all I'm saying,
Yeah,
David.
I know. I love how you're stacking the deck, though. I appreciate it.
Golf fans not going anywhere. Where are you going to go? It's the question we ask on this show. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap? That's still 25 minutes away. A story about a plane when we come back right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Want to humor me?
Okay.
17 guys, because Lundqvist is a lock. You vote yes or no. Alexander Mogilny.
Probably.
Steve Larmer.
No.
Jeremy Roenick.
Yes.
Keith Kachuk. 538 goals.
Yes.
John LeClaire.
Yes.
Which is interesting because he's got 5 years and nothing else. Okay. He's a fascinating case if you examine it. But those 5 years, he, was amazing. Rod Brindamore.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you, by the way. Sergei Gonchar.
No.
Henrik Zetterberg.
Yes.
I'm with you. Numbers aren't as good as the player. Patrick Elias.
No.
Theo Fleury.
Yes.
Mike Vernon.
I think so.
Okay, then Chris Osgood.
I don't think so.
I don't either. Vernon, I think, because of 2.
Right.
Tom Barrasso.
I don't think so.
Ryan Miller.
No.
Corey Crawford.
No.
Curtis Joseph. Yeah, I know.
Probably.
Pierre Turgeon.
I don't think so.
But don't you think, that's, I have no idea, the 3, 4, 5, 6, I have no idea how they do it. I have no idea how many go in. But that's something. Those are names right there.
I think Brindamore walks right up to the door. I don't think he was good enough.
But it's the Hockey Hall of Fame, and even though they're not supposed to do it, Does his winning a cup as a coach?
No.
Wait, did they win the cup? He won the
didn't-
cup as a player. He was
He
a
won it as a
captain.
player. He's not won it as a coach.
Right, hasn't won as a coach. There was a great article, column, whatever. You know, most people write the make my case for who should get in the Hall of Fame. The guy wrote a column in which he has McGillney in. He's like, it really bothers me. He hasn't been in. So he's like, to me, Lundqvist and McGillney are locks. And then he makes the case why all of the other 16 guys I mentioned should not get in. I thought it was an interesting.
It's an interesting way to do it.
Yes. A couple of the cases are weak. They are. You're like, Argument against Brenda Moore is that he was a very good player, wasn't a great player. And the reason why I think he gets in is there's a couple of guys who are already in the Hall of Fame who I don't think should be, whose his career compares favorably to, like Guy Carbonneau.
Yeah, but Guy Carbonneau's French. That's an extra 5 votes.
And what franchise did he play for?
Montreal Canadiens.
It's like being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
You beat me to it, David.
I forget who it is in the Twitch chat room, and you're saying you're surprised Brookline's not on the list. To me, the two that are open, I think, are both going east, and I think they're both going to Shinnecock and Wingfoot. And that basically what Mark talked about the USGA is doing. The USGA is coming up with their 7-course rotation.
That's what they're doing. It's been talked about. There's been articles written about it. I mean,
and I'm with you. I think they should. They're open it up. There are other courses out there.
It's the U.S. Open.
Well, the whole middle of the country is, there's 2,000 miles where they don't put this tournament. That one year they're having it at Oakland Hills. Otherwise, this whole tournament's West Coast, East Coast.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes after the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a couple of picks coming at you in 20 minutes. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett will join us on the show tomorrow. NHL Hall of Fame's tomorrow, which they select who's getting in. NBA draft is Thursday. Rays and Orioles in a 2-game series tonight. Marlins, can they keep on keeping on? Gators in action tomorrow in the College World Series. We've still got stuff happening out there. Even though the magic numbers, 67, 72, 79, they're getting smaller, baby. 5 weeks till training camp.
All right, David, you are the seasoned traveler of the two of us. There was a time that I was the seasoned traveler, but no more. And outside of missing a flight being delayed, God forbid something bad happened in flight. What is the biggest fear you have walking? Just assuming everything's going to go well with the flight. What are you, when you're walking on a plane, what are you like, I hope this doesn't happen?
Wow. Because my biggest fear is pre-plane. My biggest fear is the flight gets canceled. I'm stuck sleeping in the airport.
Right. I got you. But
I guess that if the person next to me is, oh boy.
Well, this happened on a flight where it was a person behind the person. And Daniel, according to the TikTok video, put out that woman on plane behind me kept putting her smelly feet under me. That's when he takes his soda and pours it on the foot.
Gotta admit, that's rude. And I can be rude. That's rude.
So the guy pours soda pop on the woman's foot because she took her shoes off and was wiggling her smelly sock underneath the seat. I have become very foot conscious on. I used to wear flip-flops when I flew because I wear flip-flops everywhere. I live in Florida. I quit doing it.
Really?
Completely.
Is it because...
And I take care of my feet. I don't think my feet smell. I try to be a pretty clean person.
You get pedicures and everything?
Haven't had a pedicure in a long time, but boy, I do love a pedicure. That's a good idea.
Believe it or not, I get pedicures because I'm with you. Travel a lot, and I'm sorry, I'm traveling in sandals or whatever.
But I started wearing shoes because I don't want people to see I don't want to gross someone out if they have a foot problem. So I wear shoes now on the plane. Always.
I do have a thing if you take your shoes off, keep your sandals on, keep your sneakers on, Now, if you have socks on, that's different. I don't care. But
so that's okay because a sock can be a stinky thing.
Correct. But, bare feet, it's like,
I can't believe there's people who actually go on planes without socks on. You want to be comfy. You want to be all, bundled up, whatnot. Why go barefoot?
Well, because you're wearing flip-flops.
Yeah. You're wearing sandals. You live in Florida. You don't wear socks. When's the last time you put on a pair of socks?
I mean, I'm wearing socks right now.
This morning, but
I can't remember the last time I put socks on.
Yeah, I put them on every day because it's 2 degrees in this studio.
Well, that's true.
I would be frostbit.
Right. That's the deck is stacked there because it's 57 degrees where you're doing the show.
Planes can also be cold.
Right.
Planes are they can get pretty darn cold. That's one.
I have to admit, I'm very understanding about the crying kids. It happens. It's kids. We've all traveled with kids, sometimes it's a good flight. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're sitting right near them and sometimes you're 30 rows away.
But you wear your sandals without socks on planes. So you are sockless on a plane.
Yes, absolutely.
And those big Fred Flintstone toes are there for everyone to see.
Yes, my walk on water fat feet are right there. Yep.
You ever recall getting a dirty look of someone seeing your bare toes?
No. Now, I have to admit, I don't pay attention to the person next to me unless they're causing attention. You know me, Mark. I tell the person next to me if they're like, chatty catty. I give them about 15 minutes and then I look right at them and I go, hey, I'm going to go to sleep. Okay. It's not a you thing. It's a me thing. I sleep on the flights. Okay.
Because I will say, this is the one thing that kind of got to me and got me over the flip-flops on planes is that you have to take the flip-flop off and put it on the security belt there. So you are barefoot for a time in the airport.
I'm not sure they make me take it off TSA. Got to admit, I don't think so. I'm trying to remember. I very rarely are my bare feet hitting the pavement.
But for
usually
me,
the only time it happens is when the TSA is not working. They've got it closed. I'm on a very early flight. It's not open yet. So,
but this guy poured soda on a smelly foot. That is pretty impressive to me.
What kind of soda, by the way? Just straight cola? Did you go lemon lime? Okay, because I have to admit, and nobody gets this anymore, and you don't have it with you, and you probably got your soda from the plane. So I'm guessing you had a Coke or a Diet Coke or a Pepsi or a Diet Pepsi. But there's a part of me that's like, I'd love to pour a little black cherry on them right now.
Tough to get that on a plane unless you brought it, like you mentioned.
Exactly. Right.
You're pretty much stuck with your standard sodas.
Yep.
It doesn't say. I'm guessing it was probably a Diet Coke.
Right. This is where it's like, do you have any great knee high?
You know what I have seen is a lady with long hair put her hair over their backrest and into the face of the guy behind her. And the guy behind her grabs the hair without her realizing and dips it in his drink.
I wouldn't do it, but good for him.
No, yeah, great for him because her hair was.
It's when I want smoking still on plane and I might light her hair on fire. Are you kidding me right now?
No,
I'd get up and say, move your. I would get up and say, get your damn hair back. That would.
No, and in the video,
that might get me sent off a plane.
And in the video, he pushes her hair back to her side, and she just flips her hair back, and now it's hanging over him again. So he grabs her hair and dips it in his drink.
Good for him.
Yeah, great for him. Well done. Now, the soda on the feet is a little.
That's brazen.
That is a little That's a great, yeah.
I mean, that's taking it to the next level. It's underneath your seat. The foot's not really bothering you. I mean, I can see where the odor would.
Right.
Do you pretend to spill your soda on her hair? If that ever happens.
I would probably, there'd be probably.
Right, you start coughing on the hair.
A few of those would come out.
I think I would just pour my drink on her hair. I do. Probably water because, I'll just let it dry. No need to have to clean that up. Soda, you feel like the need you have to clean up. But I think I would just pour water on her hair. Give her a shower.
I'd be tempted to spit gum in it. That would freak me out. And I would probably, for the first time ever on a flight, would call the flight attendant and say, is there any seat you can give me? I don't care if it's the last seat. I can't have this hair here.
I would put my tray table up and lock her hair in the tray table. That's what I would do.
That's a good idea.
So smelly feet getting a soda poured on them. Felipe with the hair flip into the soda. Both admirable works by the passengers on the planes. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things off right here. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So COVID flying, a lot of airlines they made it where it was one seat in between each person, right?
Correct.
So that must have been nice for you.
Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have an aisle seat. Always.
Right. Always. I'm more of a window seat guy just so I can lean on the wall.
Did you see the Spencer Torkelson called strike last night? Strike 3?
No, I did not.
He turns to the umpire and he barks at him as he walks back to the dugout. Does not get ejected. All right. Called strike 3, a straight change that's kind of right on the edge as it's crossing the plate. The computer stuff all said it was a strike. Okay. He said, turns around, barks at the umpire. What the are you looking at? I give the umpire credit. He didn't do anything.
Holy blank, is it cold in here?
I'm sorry.
I bet.
You know, something I didn't bring up. Don't know if we need to on the air. So I'm in my aisle seat. And I usually sit, not first class, obviously, but I usually have enough status where I'm in like, you know, the first 6 rows after first class. And a passenger brought their own food on the plane. And I don't know if he was from India or Pakistan or what have you, but he brought his food on the plane. Wow, did it smell. Like I couldn't believe, I mean, I'm like, oh, my, you know, I don't eat Indian food. Apparently some of it is an interesting smell. Whoa. And, you know, I mean, he had food. He was eating. This was a fairly long flight. He was eating. It smelled up like a 4-row area. What can you do? And
where are you going to go?
Yeah. The air can only blow so much. But it was rough.
Don't bring curry on a plane, please.
Yeah. It was rough. It really was.
Yeah.
Because also it's not like the smell leaves quickly.
When was the chase? The 18th? OJ chase?
17th.
17th?
June 17th.
Friday the 17th. Yeah.
So it was a rain today.
That 30 for 30 is my favorite of all time because there's no narration. It's just coverage.
To me, looking back on it, and I thought so at the time, but it's even stranger now, the fact that NBC went split screen was remarkable.
I remember I lived in Atlanta and we were just going through the channels and how many Spanish channels had the chase on. we were just going through channel by channel going, how many damn channels have this on right now?
98 million people watch it,
I think it was just before Fox News Channel and MSNBC, though. I think we still only had CNN.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett will join us on the show tomorrow. Pat Kerwin on Thursday. We will do a little on the NBA draft coming up Thursday night. I promise.
Is it a promise or a threat?
No, it's depends, I guess, if you're a fan.
I don't know. I just thought it was a fair question.
It was meant as a promise. I'm sorry for those of you that take it as a threat.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1840 we start today. Samuel Morse patents the telegraph. 1863, West Virginia admitted as the 35th state into the Union.
Yeah.
1867, President Johnson announces the Alaska Purchase. What a steal. The NAACP incorporates today in 1911. 1930, Bobby Jones wins his third British Open title. Jesse Owens sets the 100-meter record today in 1936 at 10.2 seconds. Today in 49, Gussie Moran shocks Wimbledon by wearing a short dress, and I quote, to look good and move more freely on the court. They freaked out. Today in 66, Billy Casper erases a 7-stroke deficit on the final 9 holes to tie Arnold Palmer would win tomorrow in a playoff. 1967, Muhammad Ali is sentenced to 5 years by a jury after 21 minutes of deliberation after refusing to be inducted into the armed forces during the Vietnam War.
Would be overturned by the Supreme Court.
74, Chinatown is released. 75, Jaws is released today. 76, Jerry Pate wins his only major at the Atlanta Athletic Club.
5-iron on 18 from the right rough.
And when you played there, you had to just drop one. And now I'm guessing you'd hit an 8-iron from there.
Yeah, what was it, like $180 or something like that?
Uh-huh. Duran beats Leonard today in 1980 at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Today in 82, Pete Rose becomes the 5th to appear in 3,000 games. Care to take a stab at who the other 4 were, David?
Hold on, 3,000 games?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I really can't think of them.
Stan Musial, Ty Cobb, Carl Yastrzemski.
Well, I should have thought of Musial. I got the trivia question. So, okay.
Also in 82 today, Watson wins his only U.S. Open at Pebble, beating Jack by 2.
Chips in on 17. Jack said it ruined his year.
88, Curtis Strange wins the Open in an 18-hole playoff over Nick Faldo.
Destroyed him.
Beat him by 4. 93, the Bulls go 3 straight, beating the Suns in 6. Lee Jansen would win the Open that same day. Today in 94, OJ was arraigned. And Ernie Els wins at Oakmont. Payne Stewart wins at Pinehurst today in 99. Retief Goosen in 04 at Shinnecock. The Heat beat the Mavs in 6 today in 06. Graham McDowell wins his major at Pebble today in 2010. The Heat beat the Spurs in 2013. And Zion was the first pick of the Pelicans today in 2019. Olympia Dukakis, Danny Aiello, and Len Dawson all born today. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys is 81. Terry Funk is 79. Lionel Richie is 74. Actor John Goodman is 71. Michael Anthony, bassist from Van Halen, is 69. Nicole Kidman is 56. Charles Hall III is 44. And Daryl Sproles is 40. What did I miss, David?
Bugsy Siegel shot and killed today in 47. He was at his mistress's place. He was talking on the phone. Somebody fired 3 shots through the window.
All right.
It. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sports things that went on today. But that's enough.
You said it's Lionel Richie's birthday?
It is.
I like how they kept on showing his house in the coverage.
Small,
of the US
isn't it?
Open. Man.
Little bit of money in publishing music.
Yeah. Yeah. They kept on saying, boy, if you want to invest in real estate here, you need a fat wallet.
So apparently he sang over at, King Charles's thing, and apparently he can't sing anymore. I mean, nobody was saying anything bad that day in the press. I mean, everything and everyone was great, except, of course, Harry and Meghan. They suck. And they were, but apparently Lionel Richie's singing was so bad that, they actually had to say, the guy can't sing anymore.
But happy birthday, Danny Green. I mean, Lionel Richie. They look the same.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, the water source in Hysham, Colorado went bad. So Molson Coors stepped up and donated water pallets to help the town out. So good for Molson Coors. For the bad, we go to Lehigh Acres, where Jesus Rosa was arrested for street racing, which has become a regular problem in Southwest Florida. His problem was not just the street racing, was doing it with a 2-year-old child also in the vehicle.
Oh, man. Come on.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Clearwater, where Lindsay Roadwild was stopped while riding her bicycle. Police searched her bags, and they found a glass pipe with some meth in it. But that wasn't the biggest surprise they found in the bag. She also had a raccoon in the bag. It was about a week old. Meth and a raccoon in the bag. The critter was taken to the veterinarian emergency group in Tampa. It will be cared for with other young raccoons that will be released into the wild. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 20th, 2023.
I would not mess with a raccoon, man.
Me either.
No, I'm good. No,
Don't
whatever
let
it wants.
Don't let their cuteness fool you.
We got a Major League Baseball doubleheader on TBS tonight. 6:40 Braves and Phillies. 10 o'clock Dodgers and Angels. Little Ohtani on national television. I mean, it's not like ESPN can do it. Sunday Night Baseball and all. You don't want to do that. You want Yankees and Red Sox again. Although I will say their games do draw 30% more than any other game that Major League Baseball puts on all year. It just does. We understand why they do it. So Rays are hosting the Orioles, 6:40. Rays are 5 up in the division. What's important to note is they're only 3 up in the loss column. Rays have played a lot more games than the Orioles. They played 75 games. Orioles have only played 71. But Baltimore's only 3 back in the loss column. 5 back overall. Glass now against Kyle Bradish tonight. Glass now in his 21 innings has pitched really well this year. Marlins go for 5 in a row. They're at home, 6:40 against Toronto. The youngster Yuri Perez, the 20-year-old, who's 4-1, by the way, pitching tonight for the Marlins.
Looking forward to this little 2-gamer with the O's and the Rays, because I'm with you. The Rays can take care of this with the Royals coming in. They can really separate themselves from the rest of the division.
Well, like you pointed out earlier, they're double-digit games up on the Yankees, Jays, and Red Sox. It's like 10, 11.5, and 12.5. So, I mean, if they played 500 baseball the rest of the way, do you know the clip that the Yankees, Jays, and Red Sox have to play just to catch them? No, it's a doable clip. It's 20 or so games over 500, but it's like, 56 and 36 the rest of the way, something like that. That's if the Rays are 500. Anybody think they're only playing 500 ball the rest of the way? I mean, if the Rays play 10 games above 500 the rest of the way, say they go, I don't know. What do you got? 90 games left?
Roughly 90 games, a little less than that, but roughly 90 games left.
So they go 50 and 40 the rest of the way, which is only 555 baseball. I mean, they're playing 700 baseball right now. So they go 50 and 40 the rest of the way. The Yankees got to be 60 and 30 the rest of the way to tie them.
Well, if you think about it, last year the Yanks got off to that great start. They were 50 and 20, right?
Yeah.
Since then, they've been a 550 baseball club.
Their final 90 games last year, 92 games, they went 49 and 43.
And they're 39 and 33 right now.
So, that's basically a full season. If you add it up, the Yankees are less than a 90-win team over their last 160-plus games. They're like an 88 and 74 team in their last 162 regular season games. And that's with Judge playing most of them, by the way. College World Series today and tonight, elimination games. Who is going to play the top two seeds in the tournament? 2 o'clock, TCU Oral Roberts. Loser goes home. Winner plays Florida tomorrow. Florida will have 2 chances to win 1 game to make the finals. 7 o'clock, same deal applies to LSU and Tennessee. Loser goes home. Winner takes on top seed Wake Forest Wednesday. Wake will have 2 chances to win 1 game and advance to the finals. The finals, by the way, are Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Been a great tournament so far. 5 of the 8 games have been 1-run games, or 6 of the 8 games have been 1-run games. And a 2-run game and a 3-run game. I mean, the baseball's been incredibly competitive, come from behind games. The College World Series so far has delivered. And then some.
So got that going for you. If you're interested, 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock today, and I think 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock tomorrow. The Gators are the 2 o'clock game tomorrow. No matter who wins, no matter what happens, the Gators are the 2 o'clock game tomorrow.
Speaking of tomorrow, we'll have Seth Everett and Pat Kerwin on the show, correct?
Pat's traveling tomorrow. He'll be Thursday.
He'll be Thursday.
Things are changing. The show's very fluid. Yes.
Always has been, David.
Right.
Always has been.
And I promise we will have NBA draft talk, at least one segment each of the next 2 shows. To me, it's a promise. To Mark, it's a threat.
I know what I'm doing today. Reading about all picks that are not number 1, 2, and 3. Those we've got figured out.
Wemby and Scoot. Wednesdays on ABC.
Miller
on the CW. I really think it's on the CW.
Yeah.
I like where you're at with calling it a sitcom, but I don't think it's making a major network, if you know what I mean.
Thursdays on True TV.
Leading into LIV, it's Wemby and Scoot, followed by Pac-12 football.
Oregon State taking on San Diego State.
Right. It really, I know nobody cares, but it is fascinating. San Diego State, why did they let the Mountain West know that they're thinking of leaving? But we're not leaving yet. We're just pretty sure we're gonna. Like, how do you expect them to react? Listen, I'm breaking up with you. Well, I'm not doing it tonight, but I don't think we're going to see the 4th of July holiday.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Right.
We're
But there's
break
no
up. But well, maybe we're going to break up. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm pretty sure we're going to break up.
And that's only if she's going to date me. But if she's not going to date me,
right,
then
I've
I
got
would
a-
continue to date you.
Exactly. I've got a better offer from Diane.
I think I have a better offer.
I'm pretty sure. So we're not going to spend 4th of July together. Okay. But we can still go to the movies this weekend.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around